accepted. I belong here. I've graduated high school. I don't want no sorries from nobody. Keep your sorries.
We were sleeping together the whole time.
It's about me knowing if this man is my daddy.
Yes, you are. You call him a punk. You don't care if...
Stop it! Stop, please!
Pregnant.
But
We never use...
Yeah, when we met, she was pregnant.
If it happens that you are the father, then you have to step up and support.
Thank you.
Ms. Hooker believes that the defendant's son, Mr. Abraham, is the father of her 10-month-old daughter, Kanaya. She says the public denial by Mr. Abraham's family has caused her pain, and she's in court for two things: a DNA test to put the matter to bed once and for all, and an apology for the pain she's been caused. Unfortunately, Mr. Abraham isn't in court today because he was killed 3 months after Kanaya was born.
How have you been affected by Ms. Baker's doubts about Kanaya's paternity?
I'm just sad sometimes. I try to deal with it now. Like, I really don't care no more. That's how I feel. I don't care anymore. I don't care who feel nothing about my baby. I don't care. It just seemed like everybody else looking upside my head like I'm an animal or something. Like, every time I'm sitting down doing something, they looking at me like I'm the outcast of the group. She looked like me, so why is it a problem? That's why I just say I don't care about nothing.
Ms. Hooker has really strong emotions about the denial of her child's paternity, but the Bakers, Mr. Abraham's family members, don't care about that at all.
So, Ms. Baker, explain to the court why there's doubt that Keyshawn is Kanaya's biological father.
My son was on vacation, and we kept hearing that Denia was pregnant, but then when we finally found out for sure, he told me. He said he wasn't the only boy that had messed with Denia.
Mr. Shepard had also made his mother promise to conduct a DNA test of Ms. Hooker's child to see if he was truly her father. Unfortunately, he isn't around to see the results of that test because he was gunned down. Before he died, Mr. Abraham told his mother that he knew of another man who had slept with Ms. Hooker, and that man had told him something that puts the paternity claims Ms. Hooker is making in question.
You know,
What did the other young man say?
he told Keyshawn that when he wasn't around, he was supposedly sleeping with Denia.
Ms. Hooker, I have to ask you, was there another guy?
No, cause that's why it's funny, because how can somebody tell me who I was sleeping with? Nobody in the room was in the room with me when I was sleeping with somebody. What do I have to lie?
Well, that's an interesting laugh. Ms. Hooker's mom says that Mr. Abraham never actually denied Ms. Hooker's baby. She says that he was always over at their house playing with the baby and taking care of her. She says he only had doubts when he was angry with Ms. Hooker. Now, if that's true, it puts into question the claims Ms. Baker has been making. Ms. Hooker's mother also says that the Bakers have always talked smack about her daughter and they all hate her.
From what I ever heard about my family, nobody ever talked about her.
It all occurred at her house. Then when
I know my mom said something about, she had a birthday dinner, and my mom did tell me, she said something about she think I didn't like her, or, you know, things like that. Maybe her perception of what other people view of her is just her perception, because she has to understand that sometimes it's hard.
Well, we can actually understand that, can't we? But the child doesn't have to be a reminder that her brother's not there. It can also be a reminder that her brother left a legacy. It can be both. You just gotta know how to slice it.
Keyshawn accepted that he was the father of this child.
Yeah, in my mind.
From the way he behaved at your home. Mm-hmm. But Mom, Ms. Baker, did he give you any proof or anything that there was this other guy? Because Ms. Hooker testified that this was the only person she was sleeping with at that time.
I think he just went off what they're saying in their circle of kids.
So Mr. Abraham had no evidence and just thought that Ms. Hooker was sleeping around while she was with him. At this point, you kind of think it's obvious that the baby would belong to Mr. Abraham since he has no evidence that Ms. Hooker was two-timing him.
And the truth is, Ms. Baker, and you're right.
Right now.
You're right.
Judge, my daughter really feels some type of way. It's not that she feels some type of way. It's like she more hurt behind the obituary. And Miss Carolyn has explained to her about the obituary, how the obituary went, but in her heart, she feel like Miss Bland left her out of the obituary on purpose. And that's why she has so much animosity towards Toy. I just feel like this come back and it's the baby. I don't want no sorries from nobody. Keep your sorries. I don't want no sorries.
Well, things are starting to boil over and Ms. Hooker is starting to make violent threats. If she feels so strongly about the child being for Mr. Abraham, then it must be, right? Well, let's test that theory. Since Mr. Abraham isn't alive to get his blood tested, the DNA test was done to determine if there's a relationship between Mr. Abraham's parents and Kanaya.
Kanaya Abraham. It has been determined by this court. The percentage of relatedness between Ms. Baker, Mr. Abraham, and Kanaya Abraham is 0%.
And this is why right here.
Ms. Baker, are you all right? Do you need to sit down? Do you need to sit down, ma'am?
That's insane! And Ms. Hooker was just here laughing sarcastically and screaming at Mr. Abraham's family. And she did all of that knowing that there was a possibility that he wasn't the father. That's an insane thing to do. But it gets even worse. Ms. Hooker decides that she wants to physically fight Mr. Abraham's sister.
You owe my mom an apology, though. That's when you owe one.
No, excuse me.
Because you know you slept with somebody else.
Miss
and this is
Hooker.
what-
Miss Hooker. No.
Hey, go in there. Go in there. Go in there. You do too much.
I don't care because you always think you can touch me in the house.
I know this has been emotional for everyone. And so Denia and her mom are sitting with Dr. Jeff right now.
Yes, I am.
No.
I've always been glad.
You ain't
That's why
always
you
been
never
glad.
knew it.
You thought you was.
Holler at your girl. Let's roll.
Miss Percy is in court today to prove that Mr. Gale is the father of her daughter, 26-year-old Tedria Glenn. Mr. Gale denies this totally and is in court today with his wife to prove that he isn't Tedria's father. Miss Percy also claims she spent over $200,000 to raise Tedria, and Mr. Gale contributed absolutely nothing to that. Mr. Gale says this isn't his fault, as he only found out that Tedria might be his daughter when he was 15, and that he is scared that his wife might leave him if she finds out that Tedria is his. Miss Percy is convinced Mr. Gale is only denying Tedria because of his wife.
Miss Percy,
Yeah,
why do you think Mr. Gale is denying your daughter?
because of his wife. I don't know why she won't let this man be a man and
Excuse
be
me,
with
Your
his
Honor.
children.
Your
he
Honor.
needs to spend time
My
with
wife
his
has
children.
never stopped me from seeing any of my kids.
Mr. Gale, that is so not true. Every time my daughter calls him, it's like, oh, I can't talk to you right now.
Miss Percy says that anytime Tedria calls her father, he never picks up because of his wife. Mr. Gale says he does this because he doesn't want to disrespect his wife. But how does that even make any sense? Speaking to your child doesn't mean you're disrespecting your wife, right?
How
If
would
I
you
knew that was my
disrespect your
daughter,
wife?
I could
This is
talk
your
to
daughter.
her. If that I knew that was my daughter.
It's your
I
daughter.
could talk to her wherever
It's your daughter.
I please.
Mr. Gale, tell me, were you all in a committed relationship?
It was committed. We was 7 years.
Wasn't no 7 years.
You were
How
together
long
for
was it
se-
then?
Like 4 or 5 years.
Things are about to get complicated. Mr. Gale says he got married in 2003 and was with his wife for 15 years before they got married. And get this, Tedria was born in 1988, which means that Mr. Gale started his relationship with his wife around the same time Tedria was conceived. Miss Percy admits this and says that she and Mr. Gale were sleeping together even when Mr. Gale was dating his wife.
So, if you were together 15 years, that would put you way before you were together with your wife, way before.
Right, we broke up
Miss
a
Glenn
long
was-
time
But
ago.
we was still sleeping together.
We slept together
We
one
was sleeping
time.
together the whole time you was with Tanya.
No, we wasn't. We
Yes,
slept
we
together one
was.
time, Your Honor.
He's still trying to sleep with.
What?
That's cute. Oh,
He was
don't
cute.
lie. Don't lie.
Mr. Gale shocks Judge Lauren by saying that he's not the father because Miss Percy already had another person tested for Tedria's paternity. To him, this means that there's significant confusion around her paternity, and it's far from a decided thing that he's her father. Miss Percy admits this, but says since the first person who was tested wasn't Tedria's father, then Mr. Gale has to be. Okay, Miss Percy, that's great logic. But what if there's a third person?
I asked my brother for Mr. Gale's number. When I asked my brother for Mr. Gale's number, I called Mr. Gale and I initiated a paternity test. I said, you know, I've been hearing all my life that you've been my dad and I look just like you. Me and my brother just look just alike. And, you know, I've been hearing all these rumors, but it's like at that time, I felt like I was old enough to find out for myself.
Well, that's just horrible behavior from Mr. Gale. You can't ask a teenager who may be your daughter to pay for a paternity test. And it doesn't make it any better that you want to go half and half with her mother on that test, especially when you know that you were having unprotected intercourse with her.
When I asked her, I said, tell your mother, see if your mother can go half with me on a paternity test.
That
Her
was
mother
after the
never
fact.
got back to me, never said anything.
That was after the fact. That was just recently.
No.
That was just recently this
No,
past year
no,
when
no.
you was like, oh, you need to find out
No.
where you really come
No,
from,
Patty.
like as if I'm a charity case.
Miss
that.
Percy, when you got pregnant, did you say to Mr. Gale,
According to Mr. Gale, none of this is his fault because he never knew that Tedria was his child until very recently. And then Miss Percy and Mrs. Gale start going at it.
Miss
that.
Percy, when you got pregnant, did you say to Mr. Gale, I'm pregnant and I think it's your child?
No, I didn't.
You didn't tell him
No.
a thing.
My daughter was 2. This man came to my house, and my brother kept looking at teacher. We all kept looking at teacher like, damn, she looking different. She looking like this man here. And I'm like, he looked at her and he was like, oh, is that my daughter?
Tedria says that she's built a good relationship with Mr. Gale, but Mrs. Gale doesn't respect that relationship. That's why she's here to know if Mr. Gale is her father for real and know for sure where she comes from. And that makes sense. Come on, guys, who wouldn't want that?
I'm thinking about you.
It's about me knowing if this man is my daddy.
Yep,
We've
that's it.
been talking for this past year, and when I say when we be on the phone, it's all laughs and giggles, and we talk like this was meant to happen. It's come a time to where every time I get on the phone, she's like, oh, you're on the phone with your little friend. Like as if I'm nothing. I'm somebody.
The emotion is raw, and you can see that this hurts Tedria a lot. But Mrs. Gale doesn't care. This looks like a reality TV show to her, and she could really care less what the DNA tests say. Tedria provides evidence outside of a DNA test to prove that she's Mr. Gale's daughter. The evidence is the resemblance she says exists between Mr. Gale and her.
You do, in fact, believe there's a possibility that Miss Glenn could be your husband's child. When you look at her, do you see a resemblance?
Could you show her the picture?
She know,
She trying to be
I don't
funny.
know.
I have
I can't.
What evidence
She
do
looks
you
like
have,
her
Miss
mother
Glenn?
to me.
Jerome, will you hand me Miss Glenn's evidence, please?
She looks like her mother to me, but that doesn't mean that's not her father.
The first piece of evidence is a picture of you,
Me and Mr. Gale.
and that's Mr. Gale.
Yep.
Wow, that's cold, Mr. Gale. Well, let's follow Mr. Gale's lead and check out the DNA test, too. That's all we can do at this point.
Mr. Gale, you are not her father.
Hear me, boo. Holler at your girl. Let's roll.
What you talking?
No problem.
Yeah,
I'm glad.
yeah, you glad.
Yes, I am.
Dumb.
I've always been glad.
You ain't
That's why
always
you
been
never
glad.
knew it.
You thought you was gonna have
Mr.
me back up.
Gale,
Oh, please.
Mr. Gale and Miss Percy. I can't hear any more of this.
What? Miss Percy is a real piece of work. How can she be arrogant despite being exposed as a liar so clearly?
I know that's not what you wanted to hear today. What you don't know
He probably
is when you
wouldn't
left the courtroom, the first thing he said was, I feel really bad. He says, and he asked me, could he come give you a hug? And I just told him to give you a moment.
Now they can live happily ever after.
Well,
and
I don't think-
have to worry about me.
Let me tell you something.
Ms. Chappell is 101% certain that the defendant, Mr. Todd, is her daughter Walisha's biological father. She says that Mr. Todd only denies Walisha because his fiancée, Ms. Collins, doesn't want Mr. Todd in Ms. Chappell's life. Mr. Todd says there's absolutely zero chance that Walisha is his and argues that Ms. Chappell will stop at nothing to pin a child on him that isn't his. Mr. Todd also claims that Ms. Chappell destroyed his window, so there's that.
So, Ms. Chappelle, why do you feel you're owed $2,475 for these expenses?
Because I had a job, Your Honor, and he was babysitting the baby for me. And after he didn't babysit anymore, I had to start paying $75 a week for babysitting fees and lost wages. And I didn't have a babysitter, and I couldn't keep up with the babysitting fees, so I had to quit my job, and I don't have a job anymore. And here's my papers right here.
Ms. Chappell says Mr. Todd owes her some money for stopping his babysitting duties for Walisha, and Mr. Todd says that's a lie because he never actually watched the baby. He also says he's never been in a relationship with Ms. Chappell and only ever had casual intercourse with her.
You two were in a sexual relationship, right?
Yes.
It wasn't
And
no
what type
relationship.
It wasn't a relationship.
No.
You were just having sex.
Just having sex.
If you were having sex and she got pregnant, were you using protection every time?
No, it was time when we met, I was pregnant.
But
Your
at
Honor.
that-
We never used.
Yeah, when
never
we met,
used
she was
condoms.
pregnant.
We never used. But he accepted
But-
me with
but
me
the
and my
other
baby.
baby, Walisha-
With someone
All right,
else's
all
baby.
right.
What? Are we hearing that properly? Okay, Ms. Chappell had a baby in her belly before she met Mr. Todd. She gave birth to that child and now has given birth to another baby that she claims belongs to Mr. Todd.
Why is it you doubt that Walicia is your child?
Because at the time she was messing around with other guys, and by me being young and just doing crazy stuff, I go and mess with her at the same time too. So she was messing with men all at one time. But this one never my girl. I was in a relationship with someone at that time, and she was messing around too.
Mr. Todd repeats that he's never dated Ms. Chappell, and at the time he was messing about, he was in a relationship with another person. He's saying, yes, he may be a cheat, but he ain't no baby daddy. Good for you, Mr. Todd. However, you don't need to be in a relationship to get someone pregnant.
So, Ms. Chappelle, do you admit that you were having sex with other people in addition to Mr. Todd during the window of conception?
No, Your Honor.
She a liar.
She was not even in the picture, Your Honor, so she has nothing to do with this. We was
What
together
picture that
here.
was?
2011, I was pregnant with someone else, baby. Our baby was already here when they met, Your Honor.
All right.
Our babies were here before she
Listen.
came in the
All
Quiet.
right.
Ms. Collins now wants to talk about the windows she says Ms. Chappell destroyed. She says that Ms. Chappell stole Mr. Todd's phone and then busted her windows while she was in it.
I have proof
From
and I have a
different
post
side of
report
town.
that
Come
she
where
bust
I'm
my
at.
windows out on
Do
my
you
car.
have that evidence here today?
I do,
No.
ma'am.
I'd like to see it, please. Thank you. This is
And
an
Mr. Bell
incident
did it.
report which says there was damage to private property.
And I do have the receipt too, Your Honor.
Windows were damaged. I'd like to see the receipt too,
This
please.
is proof too.
This is the receipt for the window repair, total $375.
Yes, Your Honor, that Ms. Chappell did.
Why would you even bust someone's car windows? This doesn't make Ms. Chappell look good at all. Anyway, Ms. Chappell says she doesn't care about whether or not someone's window was busted. She only wants the DNA test for her child, Walisha. You don't have to rush, Ms. Chappell. We are getting there eventually.
I said, well, we can move her in just so we can get tests to see if this is your baby. Therefore, that we can move forward with it. It didn't work out that way. We was taking the baby when she's out having sex with different guys, coming in different times of night while she's gone.
Okay, and so you feel like you moved her in and then she was avoiding getting the DNA test.
And what made me have doubt that this is not his baby, she doesn't look like Mr. Todd.
Ms. Chappell says she's certain that Mr. Todd is her baby's daddy because when she told him she was pregnant, he said he would be there for her and would accept the baby. Okay, that sounds great and nice, but you know what that isn't? It isn't a DNA test, and it isn't proof that Mr. Todd is Walisha's father. The fact that he may have promised to accept the pregnancy doesn't mean he's biologically related to the baby. Anyway, here is what the DNA test says.
Mr. Todd, you are not the father. And you're smiling, Miss Chappelle?
Yes, because at the end of the day,
You need to
this
find
is his child
girl.
with that DNA say. I ain't having sex with no one else you want. I know this the only man I was messing with at the time.
I know it.
Miss Chappelle, you were obviously having sex with at least one other person.
Ms. Mitchell here says that she first met Mr. Jordan at a courthouse when he was taken to court for paternity testing. She says he didn't submit to the test but claimed her and began paying child support. Mr. Jordan says he paid child support not because he felt that he was Ms. Mitchell's dad, but because he felt pity for her. Besides, he says he had no real relationship with Ms. Mitchell's mother, who's not in court today because she died of breast cancer a while back.
Did you have doubt in your mind, though, during that time?
I've always had doubts, ma'am, but it was nothing I could do about it.
He never
'cause
tried to be a father.
I had accepted the fact that I had a one-night affair, ma'am, thank you, ma'am, with her mom one time, and after that, I never saw her again.
Thank you for telling me that. I appreciate
for
that.
7
Thank
to 8
you
years.
for having
okay?
that image in my head.
You say you did your best to try to establish a relationship.
Yes.
Wow, that's harsh. Ms. Mitchell says that Mr. Jordan may have stepped up in terms of providing child support for her, but he never gave her any attention. Even when she came to him about fixing her car, he only gave her instructions and let her do the whole thing. That, of course, had disastrous consequences.
What was your understanding, Miss Mitchell?
My understanding was he was my father and we were supposed to try to build a relationship, but he never came around. Every time I try to call him, he always blow me off. Every time. It was like every once or twice a year I see him, every 2-3 years. I had asked him to get my car fixed. When he said, yeah, I'll coach you, he said, I will walk you through it.
The person laughing right there is Mr. Jordan's other child, Miss Wagoner, and she's supposed to be Miss Mitchell's elder sister. And she's laughing at a situation where Miss Mitchell almost lost her life. That shows you just how psycho she is.
Did you stand there with her?
Yes,
Yeah,
I
he
did.
stood there with me. He stood there with me as I was doing my own breaks. He made sure that all the books were so-called tightened up. I left, went to work the next day. My brakes came off on the freeway.
Wow.
Yes, I was scared. I didn't know what to do. So I had to sit up there and figure out how to get off the freeway without crashing into the wall. So I grabbed the
You still here?
That's dangerous. You know that.
Hey.
That's such a horrible thing to say. Mr. Jordan and his other daughter are laughing at a situation where Ms. Mitchell almost lost her life. At this point, you'll probably be hoping that Mr. Jordan isn't her father at all because it must be exhausting trying to be relatives with people like this. Ms. Mitchell says Mr. Jordan has continued to be a standoffish father even at her most vulnerable moments.
She ever called me
Dad,
when she wants something.
I need
That's
something.
not true. That's not
So
true.
I want to understand from your childhood, what was it like? Did you have a relationship with him after this day? Do you remember being in that courtroom when you were 7 years old?
Well, when I was 7 years old, I remember sitting on a bench and the judge asked me, do you know who your father is? I said, no. That's when he came up and said what he said about, well, I'll be her father.
Okay, Mr. Jordan, how's that even better? You didn't know that your daughter was pregnant and had a child and lost the child? That's just horrible parenting, no matter what.
You claim you tried to call him daddy once.
Yes, I did.
And what happened?
He told me to call him Jordan.
Is that true, Mr. Jordan?
I tell everyone to call me Jordan, except her.
So that's his daughter.
Your daughter.
Well, I raised this one like that.
So that's his daughter.
So why is it that she can't call you daddy too?
I'm not
I'm not your daughter?
I don't know. That's why I'm here today.
It seems there's no limit to the horrible things that Mr. Jordan will say in this courtroom. He doesn't seem to care that the DNA test may show that he's Miss Mitchell's father. He doesn't care about her pain, her struggles, or anything. One even starts to wonder why he's here at all. Now let's hear directly from Ms. Wagoner.
How did you regard Ms. Mitchell growing up?
I'm the first one. So, of course,
she always thinks she first.
I am the first
everything.
one. We don't know nobody else. Don't
Whatever.
be hating, girl. Stop hating with your
Whatever.
This is fake right here. All this crap. That's all
No,
fake.
what you are
She
is
is
fake.
not like that. That is all fake.
No,
Do
I'm
you,
wrong.
girl, stop playing. You gonna do what I tell you to do because I'm big sis.
No, you don't tell me to do nothing.
Whatever. And you do it.
No, I don't.
You do it.
You know what, guys? This is exactly how sisters fight. And it seems Ms. Wagoner accepts that Ms. Mitchell is her sister. She just doesn't like Ms. Mitchell that much. Anyway, it's time to see the results and see whether Ms. Mitchell has spent her life living a lie or Mr. Jordan has missed out on a lifetime of meaningful connection with his biological daughter.
Mr. Jordan, you are her father. What do you feel, Miss Mitchell?
I guess I just want him to treat me better as a daughter.
Thing is, like, I would like to leave this court with one frame of thought, okay?
Oh, what is your frame of thought?
Anytime your woman, your wife, your girlfriend tell you that she pregnant, I suggest any and everybody go talk to Dana.
You provided, the state provided. I'm telling you. The feeding alone, the state provided all that 800 something. The state provided all that.
Phew, that man looked like he was ready to turn the courtroom into a boxing ring. I wonder what she did. This is what happens when you allow psycho people into the courtroom. Here are some situations where this happened. Mr. Harvey says that the defendant, Ms. Jett, forced him to buy baby supplies for a child, whom he already denied. He wants the court to refund him all the money he spent on taking care of the child because he knows that he is not the father of the baby. Can Judge Lauren find a way to settle this case? Let's find out. Here is how he starts his case.
Mr. Harvey, you are asking the court to award you $496.52 for baby supplies you say the defendant, Ms. Jett, demanded for a child you adamantly deny is yours.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Jett, in response to Mr. Harvey's suit, you have petitioned the court for the results of a finally prove he is your daughter's biological father.
Excuse me? She got pregnant 2 weeks after they slept with each other? That doesn't sound right. I mean, it takes only once to get pregnant, but 2 weeks seems way too early for her to say that she's pregnant.
I started dating Harvey. Every day, I actually moved with Harvey in July. Every day,
in with
yes,
him?
I did. And every day we had sex every day.
We had sex the first week I met you.
All this yapping. Geez, can one person talk? Apparently, Ms. Jett claims that she found out she was pregnant 1 month after they had been having constant sexual relations. Even that story still sounds a little too good to be true.
She found out she was pregnant. We stopped talking. She moved back to Orlando. She wrote.
Why'd you stop talking?
Because he was so sexually active with other women. He was cheating on me.
Now the stories are beginning to add up. Apparently, their breakup happened as a result of Mr. Harvey cheating on her with several women. That's one truth bomb. I'm sure there's more on the way.
You need to make sure you bring me all of these things. 1, diapers. 2, baby wipes. 3, pacifier and a bottle scrubber. 5, her car seat. 6, a baby crib. 7, her clothes. 8, a breast pump so I can feed her milk.
Honestly, I'm even surprised Mr. Harvey decided to buy all the items on her funny list. It's even crazy that the baby had not been born before she sent the list to him. She has to be one delusional young woman.
Where you had doubt. When did you start putting 2 and 2 together? Be specific.
Okay, when I first met Shar and then we stopped talking, okay, she had told me the whole time she was pregnant, she was in a relationship. She said she was in a sexual relationship. That's one.
That's actually crazy. Mr. Harvey says that his doubts started to pop up when he found out on Facebook that Ms. Jett posted a picture of the baby and tagged another man, claiming that he was the baby daddy. What's even worse is that Mr. Harvey's family members told him about the whole thing.
Why would you tag another man's name on your baby's
I did
photo?
not tag
She
anybody
claimed that
in
the dude
picture.
out of nowhere-
At all. And I actually have proof that I actually wrote the dude and I say, hey, my daughter, dad thinks that you're her father because you tagged yourself in the picture. And he said, oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, come on. She can't be serious right now. Does she think she's talking to kids? How can someone randomly pick up her phone and tag himself as the baby daddy of her child, knowing fully that the child already has a dad? Yeah, right.
Ms. Jett, so I see you brought some evidence?
Yes, Your Honor, I did. Here's all the expenses that I've been taking care for of my daughter alone. He's suing me for $500. Her diapers is a little less than what he's suing me for, and plus her feeding is double that.
I'm suing you for what I got a receipt for.
Okay, but her diapers are close to what you're suing me for. Her diapers is.
Called me and I gave it to
never
you.
gave me
Whenever you needed something, every time she called me, I gave it to her, Your Honor.
It's starting to get real dicey. Ms. Jett claims that the amount Mr. Harvey is asking her to return is only a fraction of what she spends on her baby, so she doesn't understand why he's making a big deal about the whole thing.
I haven't talked to her.
He haven't seen my baby since July.
You haven't seen the baby since July. So, Mr. Harvey, your doubt is just based on a Facebook
No.
post.
After she had the baby, she was trying to get pregnant again, and then she was like, she told me she was pregnant or whatever, so I went and got her and stuff like that.
Ha ha ha. And just like that, another truth bomb hits the floors of the courtroom. Mr. Harvey says that he went through her phone and he saw some texts where she was telling another guy to pay for an abortion. Guess what? She was not pregnant at the time.
You know about this doubt.
All I know is that when she had the baby, looking at my nephew's other children, we have strong genes. They look alike, his brother's kids look alike.
And
our family have big eyes. Baby don't resemble me, Xavier, or any of Xavier's family.
She looks.
His children look just alike from different moms. Everybody looks like the Harveys or the Highsmiths. Baby has no genes of us at all.
Could she have a point or be onto something? Mr. Harvey's aunt says that the baby does not look like anybody in their family. She very much doubts that Mr. Harvey is the father of the baby. But then again, kids don't necessarily have to look like their dad all the time.
You are
Sade's mother.
Ms. Jett's mother.
Yes.
For the knowledge you have.
He called me and told me that Sadeja was pregnant.
I didn't meet.
No, he hadn't met me and told me my daughter is pregnant.
At this point, it's honestly hard to believe anybody right now. Ms. Jett's mother says that Mr. Harvey called her and told her that she should not be worried about him leaving when the baby is born. I think it's time for us to see the results.
Mr. Harvey, you are not her father.
It's fine. That's fine. It's fine, because I was in a relationship before I met him. I was in a relationship previous.
Oh, now you're in a relationship?
Before I met.
Ms. Johnson and Ms. Davis appear in court to find out if the defendant, Mr. Johnson, is actually their father. At their mother's funeral, a different man showed up, claiming he was their father, and now they want to get to the bottom of the whole drama. Mr. Johnson says that he has always had doubts, but that never stopped him from being a father to the girls. Oh well, here's how it starts.
Ms. Rogers, you say after encounter with your elementary school sweetheart, you ended up pregnant. You say the defendant has gone through great lengths to deny he is the father of your son, Christian. Mr. Stone.
Yes, Your Honor.
Say Ms. Rogers is promiscuous and
Even Judge Lauren can't hide her shock. That would definitely throw her off balance. The fact that something like that even happened at her mother's funeral is just mind-blowing. But where has the man been all this while?
Talked to, but he stopped
Yes, Your
talking
Honor.
to her.
When I walked into that, and when I walked in, she was already hugged up one of my friends.
I was not at the table. I was not on the lap.
When
he came in the door, I was
when I
sitting.
walked in,
I was,
we
the friend
caught
that he was
eyes.
talking was in the kitchen. I was not sitting on the lap.
Your Honor, when I walked in, we caught eyes. She was lap.
Seems to me like the only person to blame for this misunderstanding was their mother. Ms. Johnson tells the judge that when her mother was alive, she would sometimes say that Mr. Johnson was their father, and other times she would say the other man was also their father.
The girlfriend, we had a threesome.
Jerome, at first freezer. Then I realized he said in a threesome. Which one caught my surprise more? So use protection in a threesome with Ms. Rogers and another.
The other girl was my girlfriend.
That had to have broken his heart. Mr. Johnson says that their mom told him that she was cheating. She constantly nagged about him not spending time with her and how she was unhappy about it. Looks like she found a way to stay happy. Sadly, she left a mess behind.
Until after I had stopped talking to him.
I heard it happened the day before. 3 days after, and then
No. I never slept with the
and
boy.
then when she
I
told
never
me
told no boy.
couple
He's
of
a
months
liar.
later when she
He's
finally
a
told me she was
liar.
pregnant.
One at a time. One at a time. So your friends were talking, Mr. Stone.
Yes.
Talk about a man being the perfect example of a good father. He shows Judge Lauren evidence that states that their mother waved away her parental rights to her daughters. I wonder what type of mother would do such a thing to her children. At least they had Mr. Johnson. Thank God for that.
I have just got out of a relationship. I was nobody when I was with him.
But were there with the other friends?
In the fist with no other friends until
That's not
after I
what I
stopped
heard.
talking. All them boys was liars.
You
I
told
know,
me yourself that you had counted before we even had the first encounter.
First of all,
I mean, she couldn't have said it any better. Mr. Johnson is truly a good man. Even though he had doubts about the kid, he stood up to his responsibilities and took very good care of their girls. I really hope he is the father for real.
Get my birthday. I know I'm having sex, so I'm like, I know because I don't want to have no more kids.
Anymore.
I have twins.
18-year children?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't want no more kids because I had college. Everything was looking up. So I was like, I'll put the cap on before anything happens.
Man, that is horrible. She has to be the worst mother on God's green earth. Why would you have to be paid to see your own kids? With that type of character, it's not surprising she left them in such a messy situation.
Send me a
I
picture
give him, okay? I'm in the car, friend. They had been over the house. They was like, said, can you take me to my ultrasound? She said, okay. I was already in the car when we picked him up. We picked him up from his school because he was watching school. And then we went and then we went to the ultrasound and he's
Honestly, they aren't wrong. Kids should not have to deal with things this complicated at a very young age. Imagine not having your mother around and still being introduced to a stepbrother. That's just very messed up. Their mom should have honestly done better.
almost a month, okay? We started having sex at the end of November.
So you say for an entire month?
No, it was in like the mid, and then like from the 17th, and then the baby was born.
Even if you want to say that, my baby in November. The calendar and
that, please.
The tells you when my baby.
That is honestly so sad. Everyone is so emotional right now. Their brother walks into the courtroom and he says that there's so much doubt surrounding the paternity of both ladies. One looks like their father and the other just doesn't fit the description. They must really hate their mom right now.
In the window of conception by the doctors.
Because the fact of hers is everybody, it's a possibility. You can't do that. That have you wondering, and then other information that I know that I don't think it's my child at all.
Let me sit in this. Let me tell you something. When me and him talk,
Jeez, everything just keeps stabbing Mr. Johnson in the heart. He has honestly been through so much having to raise these girls on his own. Well, let's see if the DNA results are going to mend all of that damage.
The results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics as follows. In the versus Stone, when it comes to 7-month-old.
It's cool. Oh, you proved it you wanted to. You proved that I'm such the whore that you think I am. You proved it.
Ms. Hadnot here is completely convinced that Mr. Matthews' wife is the reason why he's denying the paternity of her child. She also says that Ms. Matthews was once her best friend, but once she told her that Mr. Matthews had impregnated her, she also went ahead and got pregnant by Mr. Matthews and then married him. They opened their case like this.
Mr. Matthews, you claim you have doubts about being the biological father of Ms. Hadnot's son because now you state that you and your wife hope to put an end to your results are revealed.
Yes, sir.
So, Ms. Hadnot, tell me how this even came to be. So at first you were in a relationship.
Yeah, it was just like a friendship, and then we ended up sleeping together. But she was at the house where we slept together at.
Then Mr. Matthews confirms that he had a sexual relationship with Ms. Hadnot. He then says that he and his wife were best friends before that. But Ms. Hadnot doesn't agree with this version of events at all.
How long? Just that one time?
Yes.
Mr. Matthews?
Yes, ma'am.
So you first had an intimate relationship with Ms. Hadnot.
Yes, ma'am.
Then you started one with Ms. Matthews.
Well, me and
her best friend.
We've been me and my wife been best friends before that.
This seems to support Ms. Hadnot's point. She was in a relationship with Mr. Matthews, got pregnant by him, and then Ms. Matthews got into the picture. That's the problem here. Can you imagine how betrayed Ms. Hadnot must have felt when she found out that her best friend was having a baby by her baby daddy?
I want to understand the circumstances surrounding when you found out you were pregnant.
I found out
And
I
you
was
immediately
pregnant,
knew it was Mr.
No.
Okay, tell me what happened.
Somebody else around the time that I slept with James that I could see my son.
I slept with another dude. I can admit that.
Oh well, Ms. Hadnot. It looks like it's scientifically impossible to be sure of who the father of this child is, but Ms. Hadnot doesn't want to accept this. She says she knows who she slept with and is certain the father of her child is Mr. Matthews.
She's always been after money, Your Honor. It's been times when she, can you take me here? Can you take? It's always been about money, finance. She's a gold digger.
So you not only felt like she could have, well, she did sleep with the guy she admits to. You said could be some other people too that she's not admitting.
Straight to the point, I want to know if this son is my son.
What is that doubt, babe?
At the hospital.
Okay then, Mr. Matthews. You're a straight shooter. I like that. Mr. Matthews also says that he doubts he's the child's father because he was only called to the hospital after the baby had been born. And not only was he called after the birth, but Ms. Hadnot didn't call him herself.
But if you had doubts, you should have been and told me a long time ago. Instead of sitting there talking
You
about
should have
it's
been
your
telling
baby.
me you had slept with
You
another
didn't
man.
ask. Hey, you was a one-night stand, and that's what it was.
Yeah, well, so obviously if I was a one-night stand, who else was a one? So what kind of woman is that, Your Honor?
Mrs. Matthews, do you know how unlikely and impossible it is to sleep with someone without protection mistakenly get pregnant, mistakenly having that baby, and then mistakenly marry them? There's no way you didn't mean that. Nobody can make that many mistakes at a stretch.
And she was my everything. Terry was my heart. I was there for Terry through all her stuff.
And I
no
was
matter
there for
what.
her.
Her grandma do everything for me, but she betrayed me. So what type of friend is that? What I did and what I did wrong.
Ms. Terry Matthews is the sort of friend you never want to have. She might wake up one day and mistakenly set your house on fire, and then come to court and say it was all an innocent mistake and that she didn't mean to pour gasoline on your roof.
Ms. Hadnot, your best friend comes to you and says, I'm pregnant by the same guy too? What did you think?
To tell you the truth, Your Honor, and I told her straight up, you know what? You can have that, because I never wanted him.
You wanted me. You pushed me
It
away
don't matter.
since
That
high
was my
school.
best friend.
Mr. Matthews is just acting obtuse here. Does he really think that Ms. Matthews and Ms. Hadnot were going to remain best friends after he got them both pregnant? How would that even work? Now, to make things worse, Ms. Matthews tells Mr. Matthews that Ms. Hadnot's baby might not be his.
Denied or said that Jamari was not James' son. I get on James when he get to getting his feelings about his doubts. And I'll get to saying, James, let's do this and let's do that. I push that. I'm the one that goes to the door.
Tell me himself.
Well,
It shouldn't have to go through Terry.
Horrible, horrible behavior from Mr. Matthews. And it gets worse because the 4-year-old in question is old enough to ask serious questions about his father.
Why my daddy wanted a DNA test?
Obviously,
He's an innocent child. He didn't do nothing to James at all while I was growing up, at all. Or my mother. So I don't want my son to not have his father. He's supposed to have both of his parents. We need to learn how to get along for Jamari.
That's right. There's no reason an innocent child should be suffering because of the mistakes adults make. At this point, you sort of feel sorry for Ms. Hadnot and may think that the child is Mr. Matthews' biological son. Anyway, it's time to see what the DNA results say about all of this.
Mr. Matthews, you are the father.
Thank you. I hate you, I promise. I'm done. I don't want my son to be around you.
Hold on.
Ms. Graves claims that her marriage is about to take a nosedive and there's a high chance her husband is going to leave her. She wants to prove that her husband is the father of her 19-year-old daughter. Her husband, Mr. Baker, says that she told him that 2 men could possibly be her daughter's father, and that's why he doubts the paternity. The case starts like this.
Ms. Graves, you state your marriage is on the rocks and on the brink of divorce.
Yes, ma'am.
You're suing your husband, Mr. Baker, for a paternity test to prove that he's your 19-year-old daughter, Vanisha's biological father.
If she's staying off like that, then her marriage must be in some serious mess. She says that her husband is not acting like the man he should be, and it's almost as if she does not feel his presence in the house.
You're saying 22 years ago you had a daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
And for a year he thought it was his biological daughter.
Yes.
But you were honest that it may or may not be. Ultimately, you had a DNA test and it was determined that in fact he was not the biological father of your older daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
And this is the reason why you believe he has doubt concerning your daughter, Vanisha.
Correct.
Unbelievable. She's actually upset? Haha, what a woman. Apparently this isn't the first situation. Ms. Graves had a child for another man. And after her husband took care of the child for a year, he found out that he was not the father. It's no surprise he has doubts about this one.
Mr. Baker, why are you cursing a 19-year-old girl? What is this behavior?
I mean, verbal words come out due to the fact that, hey, she felt like I hurt her. So,
he does me the same way.
So what I'm
That's
trying to
the problem.
understand is, Ms. Graves, you believe this treatment, the way that he interacts with your daughter is based upon his doubt?
Yes.
There's no lie there. She is right. Yes, she might have been out of line for cheating on him, but he has no right to curse at her kids. They are children, for crying out loud. He is claiming not to know how to love has to be the worst excuse I have ever heard.
You have always told him he's Vanisha's father.
Well, when she was 5,
I mean, I made
went to
mistakes,
him.
though.
I went to him to his mother's house, and I said, Michael, I seen some resemblance. So I went to him and I said, Michael, Mr. Baker, I think we need to do a paternity test.
Damn. I'm still trying to understand how these guys even got together to make a baby when they can't agree on anything in the courtroom. Well, it sure looks like their trust issues have been there way before their daughter came into the world.
What about when she was 10?
When she was 10,
And
okay.
we were together, and she was calling you,
You
daddy.
told me that she was
and-
my father. I mean,
No,
I was her father.
you told me
You
that
told
she
me that.
looked like you.
Okay,
with similarities.
I said that.
Okay.
I know I said
Okay,
that,
then.
but I didn't.
Since she walked into the courtroom, all Ms. Graves has been doing is spitting facts. From the looks of it, her husband is just giving every excuse to justify his doubt. What's sad is the fact that the little girl has to see both of them yell at each other all because they made stupid mistakes.
He doesn't even know how to treat me with that. He's not passionate. He cussed me out. I'm doing chemo, and right before I do the chemo, we're arguing, and my blood pressure
It
shot
was
through the
basically a
roof.
blame on me, though.
Yes.
Please spell it out to him because he doesn't seem to understand at all. Ms. Graves has a very serious medical condition, and all he is worried about is the fact that the child might not be his. Does he not at least care about his wife's health? Jeez.
Specifically as it
Like I
relates
say,
to her.
it's not just me. It's 2 other guys, And the timing, yeah, you might say that we were here and there, but at the same time, the timing, it could match up and it could not match up.
The 2 other men, how did you find out about these?
I mean,
2
she
other
told me about them.
Phew. The surprises in this case just never end. Apparently, Ms. Graves told Mr. Baker that there are 2 other men who could be the father of her daughter. If that's the case, how then does she know that Mr. Baker truly is the father of her child?
Vanisha's birth date is what?
July 28, 95.
So when you put in her birth date, July 28th, 1995, and you press calculate.
Yes, ma'am.
Man, it still doesn't make any sense if we're being honest. She slept with the other men, the same time she slept with Mr. Baker, and it all happened during the window of conception. At this point, I think only the results can't help us solve this case. Let's see what they have to say.
Mr. Baker, you are not her father.
You're my daughter no matter what. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, y'all. I just want to... Sorry.
Do you know that feeling when your best friend goes running to your boyfriend to tell them all about your different escapades with other men? Well, Ms. Stremke knows that feeling very well. Her friend told her partner, Mr. Jaramillo, about her different attempts with other men. And now Mr. Jaramillo doubts that both of his children belong to him. It all began like this.
Jaramillo, you claim your doubt is valid because you were present when another man impregnated Miss Stremke, and the family you thought you were building is not salvageable until you have DNA proof. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
That's right, Mrs. Stremke. Children are extremely wise, and you don't want your child to grow up in that sort of situation. Mr. Jaramillo says this is regrettable, but he really can't do anything about it since the paternity issues get brought up in fights.
Feel that those are his kids.
When you got pregnant with the oldest daughter, Naviana, what was the issue surrounding her paternity?
I had just gotten out of a relationship with my sons.
Now, Mr. Jaramillo had never met this friend before, but he believed every word she said. Ms. Stremke, of course, knew the friend in question and argued that it was all a lie.
Which I really don't understand, because how can you base your daughter's paternity off of some girl you had never even met?
Well, it was one of your friends, you'd spent time with her.
What did she say to you exactly, Mr. Jaramillo?
Another thing is that Ms. Stremke and Mr. Jaramillo had only been together for about a month before Ms. Stremke told him that she was pregnant. To make things worse, Naviana was born about 3 weeks early, which makes it seem like the child truly doesn't belong to Mr. Jaramillo. Instead, it's for the man Ms. Stremke slept with before meeting him.
Time when
That was about the time that the other males were present.
I
Then
was upfront with you and told you that there was one other person before we had
you
gotten
said
together.
one other person, and then came another fellow that your best friend told me about.
I had never slept with anybody but one person besides you, and that was before we had gotten together.
What about the second daughter? What doubts does Mr. Jaramillo have about her? And exactly how did he get those doubts? The answer will probably surprise you.
To a conversation where I was like, okay, well, it wouldn't be the worst thing because we're getting along really well. The question of paternity is not being brought up anymore. And that's when we ended up deciding to spice up our sex life.
Mr. Jaramillo's friend didn't come over for pancakes. He came over for a different sort of cake. Mr. Jaramillo invited his friend to have intercourse with his wife, and none of the 3 people involved used any sort of protection. Imagine if they did. It would have protected both of them from showing up in paternity court today.
It was a mutual suggestion between Amber and I. We had gone through it back and forth between Miss Stremke and I. It was a toss-up back and forth. One minute she'd want to do it, the next minute she didn't. And from being with Amber, I know if she's going to do something, it has to be on the spot.
Look, if you want to spice up your marriage, here's some good advice. Don't invite other people into it. If you want to add more excitement to your marriage, go see a movie. Get on a jet and go for a vacation. Anyway, let's find out who the child's birth father is.
When it comes to 4-year-old Naviana Jaramillo, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Jaramillo, you are the father. The next result. When it comes to 8-month-old Alexis Jaramillo, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Jaramillo, you are the father.
Ms. Ebony Parker appears before the judge, suing Mr. Morton and his girlfriend, Ms. Lemon. The lawsuit is for them denying the paternity of her child, Aaron, after having sex with both of them severally. She claims that the man's girlfriend turned him against her because she has been unable to get pregnant herself. It all started like this.
Claim Mr. Morton fathered your 7-month-old son, Aaron, while in a relationship with his current girlfriend.
Yes, Your Honor.
You say the only reason he denies paternity is because his girlfriend turned him against you because she's been unable to conceive a child with him.
Yes, Your Honor.
Wow, that's just crazy. Ms. Lemon says she and her boyfriend had sex with his baby mama because Ms. Parker was lonely. Also, she says her freakiness led her to make such a decision.
The only reason why she was able to have sex with us is because I asked my boyfriend to have sex with her because she was lonely. My desires, me and my little freakiness, I said, my boyfriend, can you have sex with your pregnant baby mother?
It appears that Aaron was born when the pregnancy was 7 months old, and that made the calculations a bit confusing. However, the accuser is confident about her claims, and there is nothing in this world that's going to change her mind.
I'm not tripping off of that. I know that that's my son's father. I know. He looks exactly like my other son.
And so you're doubtful, Mr. Morton, because you say there's a timing issue.
Yes, she
So I wanna
supposedly had got
understand your
pregnant
doubt.
in May.
Damn! In the heat of the moment, Ms. Lemon says Ms. Parker's boyfriend swears that he's Aaron's father, but the accuser had to continuously remind him that he's not, and that she had sex with him while she was already pregnant.
Yep, I'm clocking it.
You
Just
can't
like you
clock
clock
it, though,
mine. I
baby.
can.
You can't.
We
You
downtown.
can't clock
The
it.
guy walks up to her. They talking and everything, and he swears up and down, Aaron is his. She had to keep reminding him that it's not yours, boo. It's not yours.
Is Mr. Morton actually Aaron's father, or is Ms. Parker just forcing her son, or him? At this point, that remains a mystery. I mean, there seems to be a lot of uncertainty in the courtroom, and for some reason, I don't believe a word coming out of their mouth.
Before my boyfriend went away, I was pregnant by him. That's what they're getting confused. I had a whole miscarriage, Your Honor. A whole miscarriage by this man.
Now all of a sudden.
So what you're saying is...
After she got pregnant, she told him it wasn't his because she had a sonogram saying she was 13 weeks pregnant. However, when she went for her first prenatal appointment, a fetal test confirmed that she was 8 weeks pregnant instead.
I told him I was pregnant, and I did. I'm not gonna lie. I told him, this is not your baby. Being as though I have a sonogram telling me I'm 13 weeks. So when I go to my first prenatal appointment and they give me a fetal assessment, and they say, no, miss, you're 8.
Aha. Now, when she showed him the pregnancy sonogram, he didn't believe her. In fairness, how could he? Although he didn't follow her for the appointments, he was there when she gave birth to Aaron. Bittersweet is what I would call that.
Now I really believe it's your child. What was your response?
I had my doubts because of what she had told me.
You still had doubts. Did you participate? You have a child with her already. Did you participate in the birth? Were you there through the pregnancy?
I didn't go to none of the appointments. I ain't show up to none of the...
The accuser filed a lawsuit against him for harboring feelings for her son, but not accepting his responsibilities over him. Perhaps she's right for filing a lawsuit against him for showing affection to the baby, but not taking full responsibility for his well-being.
That he steps up to the plate and takes care of other people's children, but does not properly take care of baby Aaron is the basis of your suit.
Right.
You're suing for $2,047 in child care expenses, things you've spent on baby Aaron.
Ms. Mary, the defendant's mother, appears before the judge to testify that he didn't do anything for the first child when he was born. So she doesn't want him to repeat the same ill act for Aaron. His mom genuinely believes that the newborn is his kid, and that's why she's appearing before the judge to testify.
Thank you so much for joining us. What's your name, ma'am, stated for the record?
Marie Dunlap.
Ms. Dunlap, you are?
I'm Mr. Morton's mother.
Oh, you are?
Yes.
You're Mr. Morton's mother?
Yes.
What do you have to add, ma'am?
Is Mr. Morton's mother right about her testimony? Is he right about his claims of not being Aaron's biological father? Let's find out together.
Mr. Morton, you are Aaron's father.
Thank you. I told you, like, I'm not no fun. Thank you. I need that paper so I can go down Chelsea.
So at that point, you pretty much blacked out, or you have no memory recall because you were that drunk.
Yes, I was.
And then shortly after that, you find out you're pregnant. That don't come see their children because they don't want to deal with a woman that acts like you. I'm keeping it real. But it's not because it's wrong or right. It's just because it's a reality of how relationships are.
I honestly don't remember, Your Honor. The only reason I remember the X is because of it being on the day of the car wreck.
And then you remembered you'd also had sex with him 2 days before.
Yes.
First on the list of psycho women on paternity court is the case between Harris and Sterling. Ms. Sterling and Mr. Harris have been in an on and off relationship for the past 15 years. Ms. Harris is in court today to get Mr. Sterling to step up as the father of her 11-month-old son, Kason. Mr. Harris, on the other hand, states that he is not the biological father and is in fact tired of raising another man's child.
You've come to get the DNA proof you need to remove your name from the birth certificate and finally get Miss Harris out of your life. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
What could possibly have happened between these two to get him to say something like that? That statement is enough to get one thinking about Ms. Harris. Now we find out why he's bent on stating that Kason isn't his.
That's not my baby, and I'm going off of what Charity is telling me.
First of all,
what did she tell you?
It is his baby, and he know it's his baby.
That is not the truth.
It is his baby.
She tells me when we get to arguing, this is not your baby. And
yeah,
you need...
because he get on my nerves, and I don't want him to be in my life.
Oh, what a juicy reveal. We don't have to think about what Ms. Harris is capable of. It's right there. Now that it seems like the spotlight is on Ms. Harris, we get to see one reason why she's so mean to Mr. Sterling about the whole paternity thing.
About him not being the father.
So you're saying even before you said this, he was not stepping up to the plate.
And he was cheating the whole time I was pregnant.
That's a negative.
Now, everything about that sounds wrong. The judge concluded that although that is completely wrong, it still doesn't concern the paternity of the baby. The most important concern here is if Ms. Harris was seeing other people. Mr. Sterling had quite a lot to say about that.
So now the first date on this calendar says the doctor's appointment was on March 21st. And the doctor says that Ms. Harris is 6 to 8 weeks pregnant. And you had sex on Valentine's Day. So now, if we count back 6 to 8 weeks, 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, 7 weeks, 8 weeks, that is the last week in January.
This is the major reason Mr. Sterling has doubts in the first place. That's aside from the fact that Ms. Harris says that Kazan isn't his every chance she gets.
When she was 8 months pregnant, she told me that it was another guy who could be the baby's father, and it broke my heart.
First of all, that's a lie.
What happened?
We had an argument, and she just brung that up. I don't know if she was mad or what, but whatever
What happened?
it is.
Tell me the story.
What a woman! That's her card for each argument they have, it would seem. As it turns out, that's not the whole story. The couple gave the court more tea. Here is the drama they had to add.
She said, don't worry, you not my baby's father anyway, so you need to go and kick rocks, get on with your life or whatever. I'm like, what? Like, we were just together. I was just, the baby's father and everything, but now all of a sudden
Did she tell you when she was with this other guy?
Yes, 2 weeks before we had sex on February 14th.
Hearing Ms. Harrison laugh at the end of each statement this man makes has to be unnerving. More so, if she said all these things to him during an argument or whatnot, why is she so bent on Mr. Sterling being the father? She already mentioned multiple times in the past that he wasn't. She gave explicit details too, apparently.
You're now saying if we count 2 weeks before the time when you were intimate with her, which is February 14th, 2 weeks before that would be around the first week in February, last week of January. You're saying it puts the window right at the time when she claimed she was intimate with somebody else.
If it adds up this good, we just have to hear directly from the horse's mouth if everything on the calendar happened. The following conversation ensued.
Ms. Harris, did you have sex with another man 2 weeks before you had sex with Mr. Sterling?
It wasn't 2 weeks. It was like 3 weeks. It was like not even 3 weeks.
So it's 2 to 3 weeks before you were intimate with Mr. Sterling. You were intimate with another man.
The way she says that so casually is quite hilarious, really. Of course, the judge has a question for Ms. Harris.
No, because it was not a possibility because I did not have unprotected sex with this man like I did with Chris when I conceived.
So you never told...
So he didn't tell you that part.
So you did have sex with the other guy, but you used protection.
Yeah.
What an interesting turn of events. Everything is against Ms. Harris at this point. All the evidence is currently not in her favor. Mr. Sterling adds to the heat by telling the court how he feels about Ms. Harris.
So
we here today for a reason.
Things
because
happen.
she is
Either
lying.
you're the dad or
because
you're not.
She is a liar. That's the reason we here today. And
exactly, because you're a liar. You need to step up pretty much.
I don't want to take care of another man's child.
You want to take care of the children
yes,
that's
I do.
yours.
Yes, I do. I love him. I love that little boy. And you know that.
Don't sit here and play like you just don't want to take care of another man.
That's the reason you want me to be the baby
daddy.
The trust issues he has towards this woman is alarming. Would it be wrong to call it far-fetched? I mean...
So she asks a very good question, Mr. Sterling. If you had this doubt, when the baby came and you were at the hospital, why execute the birth certificate if you know you have doubt?
The thing about it, Your Honor, like at the 8 months when we got into it over the argument, I thought it was just because she might have been mad. Maybe she did just say this out of the side of her.
You cheated, you lied, and you wrong.
Despite the drama between the two, it seems like there's still a bit of sentiment between the couple. Here is what Mr. Sterling said he did during her pregnancy.
Miss Harris, I'm not laughing.
I was there.
But get what?
I rubbed them big old feet.
You were up my...
But listen,
Come on,
listen.
man.
No.
Man.
We're not laughing at you, Miss Harris. I'm laughing with you, though, because I was just looking at some old pictures when I was 8, 9 months pregnant. And, I mean, my feet were huge. It's crazy. It was crazy.
Sexy, and I own.
What a duo. Now it's time for some real talk before the results come in. Mr. Sterling tells us what he really feels about the whole situation.
Mr. Sterling, what is your hope? I still don't really understand whether you want Kason to be your biological child or whether you don't.
He don't understand nothing.
I do, Your Honor. I done grown bond with him. Like, he calls me daddy. He's the one, like, I'm always looking for.
But you ain't gotta do all that. You can save all that drama for your mom, baby.
So
this ain't lifetime.
But
as one would expect, Ms. Harris did not let him speak. She had her own things to add.
Move on back to your previous relationship that you just last week got caught.
I hope
Still
he
trying
mind.
to hold on to these folks,
in a
man,
sense,
please.
I hope he mind. You know what I'm saying? Like, not because of her for real. I just want the
too much.
results so I can move on with my life. If he mind or he not. I just want to go about it the right way.
I'm ready to go to the result.
He even got really emotional. Now, we get to hear the results, and everyone can get what they were waiting for.
Mr. Sterling, you are the father.
Exactly. So what you got to say now,
You
baby?
are father.
All this next. See, we got to leave here. You know that, right?
Nobody saw that one coming. Not even Mr. Sterling, especially not him. As one would expect, Ms. Harris had her own thing to say. Judge Lake also held a counterattack.
There are men that don't come see their children because they don't want to deal with a woman that acts like you. I'm keeping it real. But it's not because it's wrong or right. It's just because it's a reality of how relationships are. I can see how frustrated you are. I've heard exactly what you said.
He's a liar, he cheats.
But the point, I get that.
That's why our relationship and dynamic is like that.
You think I don't get that?
This is one funny case, and unlike many others, it is between husband and wife. Also, unlike many others, this is not their first rodeo. Mrs. Hendricks previously accused Mr. Hendricks of being unfaithful on couples court.
She was naked on the bed, and Chris was in there.
Oh, I'm perfectly aware of what's at stake.
There's the girls and then the baby. I mean,
You're expecting?
yeah, I'm
Oh
6
my.
months.
Mr. Hendricks was asked, had he had sex with his ex? What was his response?
His response was no.
Now, the tables have turned, and Mr. Hendricks is accusing his wife of cheating. Not only that, but he believes she has a baby for another man as well.
Mr. Hendricks, you say you confirmed your wife has been unfaithful and there is no way her child is yours. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So you're also petitioning the court for a lie detector test to determine the extent of your wife's cheating.
Well, that's a first. Mrs. Hendricks is not having any of it because she believes that the baby looks so much like him. She goes on to call the baby his twin to buttress her point. It's interesting that she's so confident about her husband's semblance to a 1-month-old baby. But oh well.
And you don't think he has any reason to deny the child?
No. I mean, I was very honest with him with what happened before, and he has taken it to the extent of denying our son.
After saying that she has done everything her husband wants from her regarding the child, including a circumcision and naming the baby after him. This is what Mr. Hendricks has to say.
I don't feel that bond like I do with my other children. I mean,
I even named him after your dad. I mean,
he barely looks like me. I'm not seeing any characteristics. He don't have any of my personal features. I don't know.
You must
I'm
be
not
blind.
I'm not seeing it as well as the others.
So he feels some sort of bond with his other kids, but right now, he's not feeling it with baby Christopher. For him, that's enough reason to doubt the paternity of the baby. Going back to the beginning, what caused all of this drama in the first place?
his Facebook messages were coming to my phone, and it was one of his coworkers, and she was saying very sexual things to him. About 10 days later, I had found out that I had endometrial cancer, and I had gotten real sick. And
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
Well, I'm in remission now. Thank
Thank God. Yes. Amen.
And whenever I was diagnosed with all of that, I just got very upset.
Well, oh boy, she's ill, and all of that happened within that short time frame. What an unfortunate time it must have been. Right now, Mrs. Hendricks does not trust her husband. Alongside this, she has a diagnosis of cancer that has her living life a bit too fast, since she believes she's just got a death sentence. Mr. Hendricks has something to add to the mix.
Partying
Refusing
and
to come
doing
home.
things that refusing to come home.
She never came home.
At night?
Never. She'd
I
always
would
stay
be at my family member's
She'd stay at
house.
family members' house.
You knew
drink
where I
until early in
was.
the morning.
I mean, I'm a very predictable person.
You would come home long enough to change your clothes, take a shower, leave again.
What a spicy addition. Now it seems like a butterfly effect makes their home an unsafe space for everybody.
And it was so uncomfortable with our past and with our life that I didn't even stay in the house. I took our car and I wound up driving around town, wasting gas, falling asleep in it on dirt roads because I couldn't go home.
Mr. Hendricks is not the only victim here. Mrs. Hendricks fills the court in on all their business and what happened after the diagnosis.
Maybe when I got the phone call whenever I had cancer, you told me, well, with everything's going on, should I care?
Wait a minute. Did you say that, Mr. Hendricks?
To an extent.
No, those were his exact words.
To an extent.
Oh, now that's cruel. So you all were in a very bad place.
We were
It was bad.
we were fighting very bad. I mean, that was, like I said,
Judge Lake took the words right out of everyone's mouth. Now it makes sense that they don't trust each other anymore. Mr. Hendricks is asking for a lie detector test on Mrs. Hendricks, and she's adding that he completely denied their baby. It's beginning to add up.
Were this pattern she developed, going out, drinking, not coming home, this is the behavior that you felt indicated that she potentially could be sleeping with somebody else.
This was where Mr. Hendricks explained the origin of his trust issues. After they tried resolving their problems, they threw a little party at their house, which involved some drinking. Here, the family member who she lived with spilled the beans to Mr. Hendricks. The person confirmed that she indeed was with another man.
And the family member looked at her and said, you're a bull-faced liar. You came to my house that very next night and said you did it.
I hadn't.
Now,
That you slept with
that she
somebody
had
else?
Sexual relations with this other gentleman.
That did not come from me. That came from a family member that I was around. You know that.
But at the same time, she keeps telling
What?
everybody she was too drunk that she don't remember if anything happened or
I
not.
did say that.
It keeps getting hotter and hotter here. Seeing as we've been hearing just one side of the story, it's time we heard Mrs. Hendricks and all she has to say about everything.
Had started a bonfire and everything. One of his friends that he'd hung out with and worked with came over. Well, we were hanging out, we were drinking whiskey, and I had ended up kissing him. And I immediately called him and asked him to come and get me. And I told him what happened, and he said, "Where are you?" I told him. He came, and he ended up leaving without me. And I remember up to that point, and then after that, I don't. I mean, I don't remember because I kept drinking.
She remembers kissing him in the kitchen, though.
I do.
The pair of them are really something. Now, if Mrs. Hendricks cannot remember everything that happened that night, what can one do?
Started doubting it right off the bat.
Why?
Because we went through extensive fertility medicine to have our 4-year-old daughter. Tried for 5 years. Unprotected sex. No, nothing. So 4 years after we have our first daughter, she winds up pregnant, just out of the blue, after our little issues and after she goes and starts visiting and hanging out.
As it would turn out, there's more to the story. What are the odds that she would wind up pregnant at this particular point in time? Mrs. Hendricks explains further how this may be possible.
I don't find that fair whenever he's bringing up the treatments I went through, because I was 170 pounds more, and the doctor even told you if I'd lose weight, it'd be a lot easier for me to get pregnant.
But you didn't for 4 years. And then you have the surgery.
It's
you
not
go
like
you go on a little party
it's
rant.
straightforward, so.
You start hanging out with another guy, and then all of a sudden you wind up pregnant. You don't find that funny at all.
Now, what do we do? After a series of back and forth, we get even more into the story of these two. Before Mrs. Hendricks came to term, they paid for a 4D ultrasound of the baby, where they already started the comparison between father and son. Mr. Hendricks really was so bothered about all of this.
You don't see a blob, that's a baby.
Well, you can see the nose and eyes, but it was too early. It was kind of a waste of money.
But your point is that you were that worried about it.
Oh, I was very concerned. I wanted to know right then.
I mean, we fought over this. I mean, we fought over these pictures so much because he's like, I don't think he looks like me. I said, how do you figure? I mean,
you know it's bad when you evaluating a baby in the womb.
Finally, the results are out. This was the conclusion of the case.
Mr. Hendricks, you are the father.
Told you had no reason. I mean, you didn't need to doubt me.
Miss Hendricks, he did. And there was reason
It was
to doubt.
there. I'm sorry.
We got the answer
there.
we wanted.
Again, with husband and wife, this case is everything. Mr. and Mrs. Kiesel are married, and Mrs. Kiesel is currently pregnant. Her husband is here in court to save their marriage and prove that the baby is his. Mrs. Kiesel, on the other hand, has strong doubts about the paternity of the baby, and she believes it's not his.
Mrs. Kiesel, you say it breaks your heart to stand in court to prove that your husband is not your unborn child's father, but you know the truth. Another man is.
Mr. Kiesel adds that today's results are so important because his marriage has been on the line. Mrs. Kiesel cheated on him a month into their marriage, resulting in them being here today.
And heartbreak and lots of issues for us.
So you're supposed to still be in the honeymoon, newlywed phase. And instead of that, you have a paternity issue.
1 month. Isn't that the wildest thing? Mrs. Kiesel went on to explain how all of this is affecting them both, from their marriage to the pregnancy itself.
It has affected me in a huge way, not only just our marriage, but my pregnancy as well, because it's hard for me to necessarily, I mean, yes, I'm excited for it, but it makes it harder when there's so much stress put into the pregnancy. Rather than being everybody together, having a good time for like a baby shower, say we were supposed to have a baby shower.
She adds that inasmuch as she made mistakes and she owns up to the mistakes she's made, it's affecting her, and she is unable to enjoy the pregnancy like a mother should. Judge Lake cut her off by asking her the important questions.
I need to ask you this. What in the world would possess you to cheat on your husband 1 month?
Yes, it's quite mind-boggling. If you're cheating after just 1 month of a marriage, it's like there's no point of the marriage in the first place. What a woman. She has this to say.
Really rushed into a relationship. We had been dating on and off, but it was back and forth with my ex and him. We both have broke up a couple of times over while we were dating. And then when we got married, it just was kind of like a let's go do this kind of thing. It was like, let's do it today. So we did, and I just feel like we might have got married a little too young. Not necessarily young, but quick.
Wow, she wasn't over him, huh? How stressful that must have been for her. Poor Mrs. Kiesel. To make things worse, she and her husband have been trying so hard for a baby, bad enough that they took a test at least once a week.
And at first, I was really, happy and excited. And then just a couple seconds later, it hit me that I'm about to have to tell him something, no husband wants to hear.
So you found out you were pregnant first, and then you knew you had to tell your husband.
Yes.
Because you knew there was a possibility this other man could also be, your ex could be the child's biological father.
Putting the spotlight away from Mrs. Kiesel and back to Mr. Kiesel, here is his own side of the story.
So we had been taking a test once a week, and I happened to take one, and it was positive. And at first, I was really, happy and excited. And then just a couple seconds later, it hit me that I'm about to have to tell him something, no husband wants to hear.
So you found out you were pregnant first, and then you knew you had to tell your husband.
Yes.
What a heartbreaking heartbreaking moment it must have been. To further add to drama, Mrs. Kiesel told the court about her conception window, which is the estimated time period the baby was conceived so as to know what man is the biological father of the child. She said it was March 8th. Watch this.
And now, Mr. Kiesel, when were you intimate with your wife?
We were intimate on the 8th.
You were?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so that's gonna be a K for Mr. Kiesel. I gotta ask you this, Ms. Kiesel, when were you intimate with your ex? Which day?
The 7th and the 9th.
Without a doubt, the dates being so close in proximity further fuels doubt about the paternity of this baby.
Do you remember being intimate with your husband on March 8th?
I honestly don't remember, Your Honor.
And so the truth is, you don't even remember being intimate with your husband on March the 8th, but you do remember sleeping with your ex on the 7th and the 9th. When were you intimate with your wife?
We were intimate on the 8th.
Now, would you look at that? She knows those dates too well. Who knows what would have happened on the 8th if he were around? Adding salt to the injury, she further stated that she does not remember being intimate with her husband on the yacht. However, look at the amount of detail she gave about her ex. Again, what a woman.
You believe, despite these dates being so close in proximity, that you are the child's father.
Mr. Kiesel is choosing to have so much faith in this. Judge Lake asked why he does, and he began to state similarities between him and the unborn baby, starting from their nose shape down to the shape of their upper lips. What a man, really. Mrs. Kiesel went on to say that she hopes Mr. Kiesel is the father and she wants their marriage to work. That's an interesting statement from a woman that cheated a month from her wedding day.
And how does it make you feel that your wife is saying, I don't think you are the father?
That hurts extremely bad, seeing that I'm there. Instead of it just being, you might not be the father, she's saying she thinks I'm not. And that dampens the mood between us.
What a mood dampener that must be. After telling the court that he needs this baby to be his, and his wife keeps saying that the baby isn't, what an interesting mood dampener indeed. Finally, the results are in. Since the baby hasn't been born yet, a prenatal DNA test was performed. Here are the results.
Mr. Kiesel, you are the father. I know that has to feel good.
A little bit.
How's it feel, sir?
Amazing.
I'm so happy for you. And I know those are tears of joy. And I can imagine you have cried the other kinds of tears.
Ms. Adams has been in a relationship for 13 years. When they break up, she gets with another man about 2 months after.
I had separated. When we separated, was kind of going through my vulnerable stage and things like that. I had went out actually one day, to the bar, and that's when I had met Markeith. And when I met Markeith, that's when we started, having dealings with each other and things like that.
All right, so you were in a long-standing relationship.
Yes.
And then you broke up.
Yes.
Interesting turn of events. In addition, Ms. Adams was not intimate with her ex during this period. Mr. Spencer was the only man she had dealings with. However, after she got pregnant and had twin baby girls, her ex is claiming the children, calling them his babies. How did we get here?
Once I had the babies, the pictures went out on the internet, and that's when my ex-mother called me and said that those are my grandbabies. They look just like my son.
And so once she said that, had you been thinking of that in the back of your mind all this time? Never.
Never. I was starting to hear it so much, and I was getting so many phone calls from my ex side of the family and everything about the boy.
Oh well, here we go again with the semblance business. If I had a penny for each time they take a bet on paternity simply because the baby resembles the supposed father's baby pictures.
I'm just like, whoa, I never thought that Marquis was not the father, but then, she was just telling me, oh, Christian, put two and two together, just think about it. It don't make sense. You already had the babies early, so you could have been already pregnant when you was messing with Mr. Spencer. She was just, saying things like that and stuff. So then I started saying, well, you know what, you never know. And I was also just going off of emotion and knowing I was still in love.
Fair enough. Some people try to use special holidays to get back into their ex's lives via text. Christian Adams, however, plans to use twin babies. What a woman.
After I had the babies, Marquis was around for the first month. Throughout that whole month, it was like so much drama with his ex, so much drama with him. It was like...
So there were other people on both sides. Since they were not in a committed relationship, it's very plausible. Now Adams' ex called her and they had an interesting conversation.
Those babies are mine. Is that true? I said that I knew that they was Marquis. I said, but to this point, you just never know. Just come back, because I want you to come back regardless, and we could just start over. And once that happened, he said, okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and come back. Once he came back, without a shadow of a doubt, I didn't even want to deal with Marquis at all.
All right, so once your ex came back, you were done with Mr. Spencer because you really wanted to be with your ex.
Yes.
So she lied to Markeith and his ex about DNA test results that they never did. Oh, the lengths a woman would go to get back with her ex she's in love with.
And I seen pictures of her tagging Mitchell's mom as a grandkids. And you telling me this whole time these was my kids.
And what did she say?
She was like, oh, I ain't tell them that. Mitchell just automatically assumed these was his kids. She told me that, you know, like he automatically came back and was like, oh, them my kids, I'm gonna be take care of them kids.
He must have been so stunned by all of this. Well, in court today, we have Mitchell, the ex's mother, and possible grandmother to the twins to tell her own side of the story.
The first week that they was born, Kristen's mom called me. So she said by now, look, take a look at the babies. Look at these pictures. Something ain't right. So she sent me the pictures. So I'm like, oh my God. So I went looking for some of Mitchell's baby pictures and I started sending them through the family. And the family's like, oh my God, these Mitchell's babies. So as I talked to Kristen, are you sure?
After so much drama and pent-up emotions, the results are finally in. This time, because they are fraternal twins, there is a high chance that they are children of different men. Hence, there are 2 DNA results. Now, the results are...
Is the father of 1-year-old Kamariana Adams Spencer. It has been determined by this court. The biological father is Mr. Spencer.
What a turn of events. Now, for baby Kamarian, we get to find out the results.
Kamarian Adams Spencer. It has been determined by this court. The biological father is Mr. Spencer.
Oh boy, Ms. Adams sure won't be happy about this one. Everyone's emotional. Mr. Spencer has something to say to conclude the case.
Mr. Spencer, you are the biological father. What are you feeling in this moment?
Like if she knew like them was my kids all this time, like you should never not allow me to build that relationship with them.
I will say that we have to count our blessings, and the children are only 13 months. And you do have the time and the opportunity to establish a bond with them and to be there for them.
Psychopaths on paternity court.
Do you think for yourself?
No.
You don't? Who thinks for you?
Yes, you do, honey.
Who thinks for you?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I do.
You do?
Yes,
my son thinks for himself.
When she got with my brother, she ran the same story on my brother and told my brother that she was pregnant by him.
Started cheating on me with a guy she claimed that looked like Bon Jovi. I said he looks more like the Wolfman. The dude's
Ms. Lee?
Caught.
You cheated?
I have
a
a celebrity
week
obsession.
later?
Yes, I have a celebrity obsession in this guy that he looked like Bon Jovi.
Miss Jones had grown tired of Mr. Houston's denial game and his mama's boy antics. Her only option for convincing the man-child across the aisle was a DNA test. Let's see if the baby mama's claim about their 6-month-old son, Lyric, is genuine or not.
I found out June 3rd that I was pregnant. And then once I scheduled the date for my actual appointment to see how far along I was a whole month pregnant. That's when I decided that I didn't know if I was gonna tell them because of all the drama that I went through with being with him. And so I knew that they were probably gonna deny my baby.
Now, according to the plaintiff, the denial of her baby stems from Miss Houston, and she's the one who has been spoon-feeding her son about everything. But when the defendant claimed this, it was confirmed.
Do you believe your son thought it was his child?
He didn't know what to think because she waited until she was 8 months. I mean, you can't just throw 8 months and I'm about to have a baby in a month and expect somebody to jump on ship with you and be like, okay, great, let's go shopping.
Your Honor, I was...
Hold on. And I text and called her, never got a return call.
I asked for DNA multiple times, more than 3 times.
But wait! Although Miss Jones did admit to telling the truth about the pregnancy after 8 months, she did ask for the DNA 3 times. But instead of getting it done, Miss Houston stopped because of doubts in her mind. Again, manipulating her son's decision.
I offered the DNA test, and then the mom was like,
So why did the coworker say somebody else was the baby daddy?
What coworker?
Manager said.
The manager.
The manager
Your
said,
Honor,
oh, you're one
Your
of the
Honor.
guys that she's claiming to be her baby daddy.
Your Honor.
The manager
Wait, what's
told-
the story?
Your Honor, what
wait.
is they talking about?
It all kicked off because Miss Houston's 14-year-old daughter snooped on Miss Jones's phone, found some shady messages hinting at cheating, and spilled the tea to her mama. Cue Mama Houston going full psycho mode and exposing her true colors as the queen of raising a man-child. Total drama, right?
Someone can't get you pregnant if you protect yourself. And at your age and his age, getting ready for your prom, you should be getting ready to go on to college. Figure out what you want to do with your life.
But when we finally decide to question the dude of the show, Mr. Houston, so let's just ask him about the denial, right? I'm sure we might be missing something here.
Were you boyfriend and girlfriend?
Yes, we were boyfriend and girlfriend.
In high school?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Houston, do you think for yourself?
No.
You don't. Who thinks for you?
Yes, you do, honey.
Who thinks for you?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I do.
You do?
Yes, my son thinks for himself. She broke up a few days before prom. It was not a week.
Well, these whole back and forth accusations weren't helping the case. So Judge Lake decided to raise the curtain on the DNA question that might help Mr. Houston think for himself. So here's the concealed truth that we've all been waiting for. All right.
You are the father.
Boom!
Miss Jones, don't act silly. Don't act silly in here. Don't do it. I know you feel somewhat vindicated. I realize that. But this is not a time to perform because this is not a joke.
All right, folks, we got this wild episode of Paternity Court where Miss Brown is dragging Mr. Rutledge to prove he's the daddy of her 1-year-old daughter, Sanaya. Let's see what our innocent plaintiff has to say about this.
Me and Mr. Rutledge, we had sexual relations and things like that. And my doctor told me that I conceived May 25th, which was Memorial's Day, which I was over there at his mother's house. She left to go to a cookout and everything. And me and him, had sexual relationships on that day. I did not have sex with anyone else on that day.
So Miss Brown is all about proving that Mr. Rutledge is the bio dad of her kid. But guess what? The dude has only seen the baby once. Talk about Father of the Year material, right? But why is that?
Well, first of all, me and Ms. Brown was never in a relationship. It was only sexual relationship. I met Ms. Brown she was seeing my cousin, they was dating for a while. After they broke up, they split up, whatever. She got with my other cousin, had a one-night stand with him. The product from him got with my brother.
Miss Brown did spill the tea, claiming she and Mr. Rutledge had a romp that led to baby making on Memorial Day. Oh, the romance. But wait, there's more. She conveniently forgets to mention her adventures with Mr. Rutledge's cousins and brother.
Now, let me tell you this. When she got with my brother, she ran the same story on my brother and told my brother that she was pregnant by him. She tells my brother that, oh, I need you to give me money for a morning after pill.
Ah, well, Miss Brown left all those facts out, huh? Come on, why were you sneaky? We need an explanation for this, right? So how about we just enlighten ourselves from your side of the story? I'm sure you had your reasons. No?
First of all, you don't have to pay for a morning after pill because everyone knows that a morning after pill is free whether you have insurance or not. So I never would say, can you pay for a morning after pill? As far as me having one night stands and all that with his cousins, if he felt that I had one night stands with his cousin or his brother, why would you turn around and have unprotected sex with me?
By this time in trial, accusations were flying. Well, we do accept that it's quite common in paternity court, but this one's gonna open your eyes. When Miss Brown told Mr. Rutledge about the pregnancy, he said this.
So I told him, I'm pregnant. So he kind of got quiet for a little bit. He you pregnant? He so what you gonna do? Then he never mind, I'll be over there. And basically he was just he already got kids. He don't know what I'm gonna do. He really kind of leaned towards me getting an abortion. He wanted me to get an abortion. But he was but if she's mine. So he always kept saying if she's mine.
But ultimately, as we can guess, that baby was born. And nobody was there at the hospital except Mr. Rutledge's sister. And she gave the live update to her brother, who wasn't exactly happy about it.
She sent her mother pictures, and I guess she sent Mr. Rutledge pictures, and he called, and he told her that he hopes my baby die, and that he don't want my baby around other children.
Incorrect,
and that's
Your
something
Honor.
that came out of her mouth.
That
now
is
she want to
incorrect.
stand here and try to act like she's
That
the best
is
sister in the
incorrect,
world.
Your Honor.
But everything that I know that he said about me, mostly she told me. Just
That
like he
is
said he didn't want
incorrect.
my daughter around his other kids, that came out her mouth.
With our potential daddies' all intentions being cleared, how about we fasten your seatbelts for that big reveal? The DNA results are in. And surprise, surprise, Judge Lake was about to drop the final verdict on who's the baby daddy.
Mr. Rutledge, it has been determined by this court that you are her father.
What? Now what? What y'all gotta say now? What do y'all gotta say now? Exactly. I thought that's what y'all had to say.
I apologize. I just wanted to know for sure, Jazz. That's it.
But now you know, but you missed 16 months though.
You're right.
For this paternity trial, Judge Lake's courtroom becomes the stage for Mr. Lee and Mrs. Lee as they navigate through the turbulent waters of marital discord. the alleged father disclosed his wife's infidelity, asserting that she has strayed from the bounds of their marriage on multiple occasions.
Why did your family disown you?
Because she cheated on me and I chose her over them, and they didn't like that, so it burned a lot of
she
bridges.
cheated on you. They told you we don't want you to be with her anymore.
Yes, and I didn't do what they wanted, so they threw me out.
Just because you went back to somebody?
The alleged father disclosed his wife's infidelity, asserting that she has strayed from the bounds of their marriage on multiple occasions. You got it. Picture this, true love going sore. But before we jump into some assumptions, let me spill some deets. Time for a flashback. So, Mr. and Miss Lee kicked off their love journey at a swanky hotel bash. And like any good story, their colorful relationship began.
We did not have sex though, we just made out. The next morning, we exchanged numbers that night. We actually had to exchange our names as well because we made out the whole night, didn't even remember each other's names. The next day I called him and went and picked him up, and he took my grandmother out with us on our first date. That was it for me, I knew that he was the one.
However, things weren't that pretty, as Miss Lee straight up owned up to playing the field behind Mr. Lee's back. Get ready to crank up that volume, because this is the part you don't want to sleep on. We're talking major celebrity obsession vibes.
The distance was starting to get to her because at the time I was living over an hour away, Your Honor. She went ahead and moved in with me. I mean, she stayed there with me for a few days, and then like the following week, she started cheating on me with a guy she claimed that looked like Bon Jovi.
Oh man, where do obsessions even land us? Now, check this out. The plot twists when Miss Lee's bun starts baking in the oven. In the beginning, Mr. Lee thinks he's going to be a dad, right? But hold up, just a week into the pregnancy, Miss Lee drops a bombshell, spilling the beans that she's been up to some sneaky business. What a psycho.
Started cheating on me with a guy she claimed that looked like Bon Jovi. I said he looks more like the Wolfman. The dude
Ms. Lee?
Caught.
You cheated
I have a celebrity
week later?
Yes, I have a celebrity obsession in this guy that he looked like Bon Jovi. He's just jealous.
Seriously, can we talk about how casually they're chatting about cheating? Come on, ma'am. A dude standing right there who ditched his whole family for you. This bombshell crushed the trust vibes between them, and now their marriage is teetering on the edge. Miss Lee and Mr. Lee are like, if this kiddo isn't his, peace out. We're getting a divorce.
I worked late nights.
He was emotionally
I was
absent.
sleeping.
Yes.
And you were emotionally absent, Mr. Lee, what, because you didn't believe the child was yours?
Well, after about a week later, after we find out she's pregnant, she told me she'd cheat on me again, and that's where this whole allegation came on. It's like, oh, by the way, I slept with another guy.
So,
oh, man.
Even after all the bombshells and jaw droppers, the supposed dad's still crossing his fingers, hoping he's the baby daddy. Mr. Lee, you're one optimistic dude. But hey, forget the family drama, what's done is done, right? But hold up, there's always a catch in the mix.
You know, I put up with a lot, and why didn't I leave her years ago? Because, I mean, I was always hoping to make things right. When you throw a kid into the mix, it complicates a lot of things.
Why do you cheat on him?
I never really saw a good relationship. I love my mom to death, but nobody in my family really showed me how to be in a relationship.
We get it, we all got our reasons for messing up. But Miss Lee, next time you spot a celeb or their doppelganger, how about you keep those emotions in check, am I right? All right, I'm done being the tour guide. Let's bounce this job back to Judge Lake. But before we do that, drum roll please. It's results time.
Mr. Lee, you are Carolyn's father.
Yes, I told you. Sorry. I tried to tell him I've been faithful to him. I made some mistakes. I did, but I've been doing a lot better. I just want us to be a family.
Mr. Allen, the genius among geniuses, is all pumped, thinking he's nailed the paternity mystery. Who needs a DNA test when you've got a teleportation gadget, am I right? According to him, there's zero chance he's the pops of Miss Diaz's little one because they were chilling in totally different states when the magic went down.
I wasn't even in the same state as her at that time. I was in Tennessee and she was in Indiana. And at that time, she was in a relationship with another guy and I was in a relationship with another female. At that time, we weren't even in the same state. So it really doesn't add up. I mean, you don't have to be a genius to know that that does not add up.
That's a lie.
Check it out. Mr. Allen, the memory king, is acting like Easter is a total blur. Like who even remembers Easter dinners, right? Miss Diaz is throwing down the challenge, swearing they did the whole Easter shindig together. But Mr. Allen pulled the Tennessee card, saying he was busy there with some other female friend.
That's what the doctor said. A week before or a week after Easter. Easter's in April. If you do the math,
So
9 months later.
you don't remember this Easter day?
No, ma'am, because you see, at the time, I was with another female. Her friend wanted us to go and have Easter dinner with her and her family. This was in Tennessee.
All right, peeps, buckle up for this cosmic jackpot connection. It kicked off as a chill fling, but then, wham! They started chatting, and boom, she's crashing at his place. Destiny vibes, you feel me? Well, except for the constant bickering and squabbling. Love in all its wild glory, I swear.
Our relationship's always been rocky. We first started dating 2016 in Evansville, and she was originally just supposed to be a hookup, but we ended up talking and we ended up hitting it off, and she moved in with me not too soon after talking and being together. We were good for the first 3-4 months of our relationship, and then after that it was fighting and bickering.
In the epic finale of their breakup saga, Miss Diaz throws in the big reveal. She's cooking up a bun in the oven. Now, Mr. Allen, the king of smooth talk, comes back with a killer. Good for you. Congratulations. Classic move, ain't it? Now that's how you handle the maybe I'm the dad situation, no doubt.
When you confided in him and you told him I'm pregnant, what was his response?
That's not mine, that can't be, da-da-da-da-da. And I was like, well, I didn't just make him myself. If you do them, 4 months later, if you do the math, if you're good at math, it leads to April. We were together April, which is Easter.
Now we're knee-deep in a mess of lies, and if someone's pulling a fast one, they gotta be a real idiot for messing with this poor kid's life. But hold up, there's more. The plot just gets juicier as Mr. Allen, all bold and gutsy, throws down the challenge, demanding proof from Miss Diaz. Show me I'm the dad, he says.
This time, were you dating anybody else?
Not really. I mean, it was...
Not really?
No, I was going to school, and I mean, it would happen maybe once or twice, but it wasn't like I would do something with somebody like consecutively. It was a one-time thing if I did.
Was one-time thing, meaning sex, a one-time thing?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that's all it takes.
With Mr. Allen out of the picture, Miss Diaz went full-on explorer mode. Like she's tackling a multiple-choice quiz, but with, dudes. Mr. Allen's crew spilled all the juicy details on her escapades, turning this whole mess into a real-life reality TV spectacle.
She would say, well, I'm with another guy now, you don't have to keep texting me and making sure that I'm okay. And, so from that point on, I was like, all right, well, whatever. But like I said, I would still text her.
But why?
To make sure to just check.
Why if we're broken up? Because if you want to check in just on me, why don't you check in the whole pregnancy when I was pregnant?
Okay, so there might be a hint of shade being tossed around, but let's get to the real deal. Mr. Allen, the scoop in this paternity court is about to hit like a hidden envelope. Do you catch my drift? The DNA results are about to go down.
Mr. Allen, you are the father. You are the father. That is your handsome little boy. He definitely got more of your cousin's genes. But he's yours.
And is it because he's a black man within the
So are you going to take his word over mine?
I'm concerned about what you said. You stopped him because he's black. That was the first thing that you said. Am I wrong in saying that?
He matched the description, sir. He matched the description.
No, you said, look at him, he's black. That seems to be the only reason why you stopped Mr. Redvine. He's sitting on a park bench as a black man, minding his own business.
A man was arrested merely because he somewhat matched a vague description. Can you imagine being in a park, enjoying your day, only to find yourself in jail moments later because a police officer decided you fit the bill? This situation is outrageous, but it is important to note that this case delves much deeper than it initially appears. Let us explore and reveal the underlying issues at play.
Yes,
sir. Why?
Sir, when I arrested this man, rightfully arrested this man, he spit on me several times, and I just do not want to deal with that again.
Okay, I understand. Mr. Redvine, you heard what Officer Ortega said. Now, Jeff, let me ask you a question. Did he present you with any problems prior to bringing him into the courtroom?
Not at the moment, no.
Okay, Mr. Redvine, I am going to ask my bailiff to remove the bag off of your head. Will you act in a reasonable manner in my courtroom, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, understand, sir. You are an inmate. of the Mango Park County Jail System, okay? If you do not act accordingly, I will have that bag placed back over your head and you will be sent back to jail. Am I making myself clear, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
Jeff, please take that bag off his head, please. You are seeking punitive damages against Officer Ortega in the amount of $25,000 for pain and suffering, and also you're requesting that all charges against you be dropped. Am I reading that correctly?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, sir, do you mind telling us what happened?
Sir, only thing I know is I'm in my own business, in my own world, doing me. This police officer comes up to me, asks me questions. I didn't want to give him answers because I'm doing me. There's no reason for him to stop me, so I'm just thinking that it's racial, so I can just...
I'm sorry, where'd you get stopped, sir?
I was sitting on a park bench.
Okay.
And I was doing my meditation, and when he came up, he was bothering me, and when he startled me, actually. So when I opened my eyes, it was just him. I looked at him like he was crazy, like, what are you doing? You see me sitting here paused, like, what's the problem? All of a sudden, he starts asking me all these questions, and I'm sitting here like, what's going on here? Like, now I'm feeling like I'm threatened. So I'm like, I feel threatened. I ain't gotta ask you none of your questions. Call a supervisor here. I guess that must have made him really mad, because that's when he went off the handle. He said I did some kind of crime that I still don't even know what I did. Said he's had some kind of witness.
So I'm sorry, sir. You said that you were accused of a crime and you don't know what the crime was?
No, he never told me. I'm here, I don't know what I'm here for.
He was taken into custody without any understanding of the reason behind it. It is astonishing that a police officer can detain an individual without providing an explanation. What is even more alarming is that, in the United States, the law mandates that officers must clarify the reason for an arrest if requested. Yet it is evident that some officers disregard this requirement. Prepare yourself for the justifications this officer presents. You may find yourself torn between laughter and disbelief.
You're telling this court that you got arrested, but you don't know what your charges are? Is
No,
that what
I didn't get no paperwork. I didn't get nothing.
That's not true, sir.
Okay, Officer Ortega, can you tell us what happened?
Yes, sir. We got a call of suspicious activity.
Mhm.
There was a kidnapping in the area where this gentleman was sitting at the bench at the park, and he matched the description of the criminal.
Okay.
There was a robbery and a kidnapping, all within the same area. I see this man sitting there with his eyes closed. I don't know what he's doing. We got a call from a lady in the park saying that there was suspicious activity. I picked him up, matched the description. He confessed to the whole thing. The kidnapping, so I don't understand where his story is coming from.
I'm sorry, Mr. Ortega. When you said that he
What is he
confessed,
talking about?
hold on, sir. Sir, remember what I said. Now, when you said that he confessed, did he confess there on the scene, or was it a different location?
There was a different location, but
what was the different location?
Back at the precinct. That's what he agreed to. Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay.
But he matched the description.
I'm just curious. Did you take him? When you got to precinct, did he make his claim then? Did you take him to the interview room where this happened at?
Yeah, we did it. Yes, we did it in the interview.
You did it in the
interview
interview.
room.
Was there
Yes, sir.
any other officers present when you did this interview?
No, sir.
Okay. So it was just you and Mr. Redvine.
Yes. Yes. Sir.
Okay. What else happened, sir?
And while I was making the arrest at the park, this man spit on me. He berated me. He called me things that I should not say in this courtroom.
Okay.
And that's unacceptable.
Okay. You said something about, if I heard you correctly, you said something about a witness.
Yes, we got a call from the suspicious woman at the park. I spoke to her. She pointed to this man, Mr. Redvine, and I did my job as a police officer, and I made the arrest.
understand that. Let me ask you a question, sir. How did you get to the correlation of a man sitting on a park bench with his eyes closed, being suspicious, to that's my guy with the robbery and kidnapping? And I understand what you're
Yes.
saying, that he fit the description.
Mhm.
But besides fitting the description, how did you get to the part where this is my suspect for the robbery and the kidnapping?
He confessed. He confessed. He claimed that he didn't know what he was doing. But sir, I mean, just look at him. He matched the description. What else do I have to do? That's my job as a police officer.
I don't have the call that gives out the description of that particular day, so I don't know if he matched the description or not.
Yes.
Nor do I have a picture of what he looked like on that particular day. I have a video that shows what he looked like.
He is a black male in a predominantly white neighborhood, being very suspicious on a park bench with his eyes closed.
Sir, Mango Park is predominantly white. Are you trying to say that all black people within the
No,
city
sir,
limits
no.
of Mango Park are suspicious? Are you trying to say that me, Judge James Porter, who also resides in Mango Park, that I would look suspicious? Because I don't wear this black robe when I go from the parking lot into this building.
Now, the officer claims that the arrest was made because individual he suspected was black and found in a predominantly white neighborhood. This reasoning is not only ludicrous, but also profoundly shameful. I invite you to share your thoughts on this matter in the comments, as the officer's series of embarrassing justifications does not end here. There is much more to consider, and it only deteriorates further.
Jeff also resides here within Mango Park, sir.
He is one of he's my brother. He's my brother too. We work in the same building. Sir, what I'm saying is, he matched the description. He had clothes with holes in them. I don't know. I don't know any people in the neighborhood that look like that.
Okay, and he confessed to the robbery and the kidnapping?
Yes.
Now, you said that this took place in the interview room?
Yes, sir.
Are you aware of the fact that the interview room has cameras in it at all times?
Yes, sir.
Are you aware of the fact that once you enter that room, the cameras come on automatically?
Yes, sir.
Are you aware of the fact that the cameras in that room record everything that goes on when people are inside?
Of course, sir.
Are you aware that I have a monitor right here?
Yes, sir.
Are you aware of the fact that that monitor, once I tell Jeff to push the button, is going to show what's going on in that interview room because the court requested it?
Sir, I don't think we need to watch those videos.
And your story had better match up with what we see on this monitor. Jeff, he's not confessing to anything, but you said that he confessed.
Yes, sir. He must. I mean, there's something must be wrong with the
Jeff,
audio,
you could
sir.
turn it off.
I don't see the part where he confessed because maybe you guys cut off the video. I don't know what happened, sir. But he confessed in that room.
Did you not see the video like us, the rest of us?
I don't think we watched the whole video, sir.
Did you not say that he confessed to the robbery and kidnapping?
He did, sir.
He didn't confess it there.
I think the audio must have cut off or the video must have cut off because he did confess to me in that.
He confessed to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I'm looking in a police report here. It does say that he made a full confession inside of the interrogation room.
Yes, sir.
But I don't see that. I don't see him being aggressive towards you. I don't see any of these things that you say. As a matter of fact,
technology can be faulty.
You don't have a witness. You said you had a witness. There's no witness. The witness is not here. You didn't present a witness. There's nothing here. And now I'm wondering why this young man was arrested. And is it because he's a black man within the
Sir, are you going to take his word over mine?
Officer Ortega, this is not the street. You're not getting written up, okay? In this courtroom, you will be held in contempt of court. And you can go to jail just like him.
Not only is he apprehending an innocent person, but he is also fabricating details about the events that transpired during the interrogation. This behavior epitomizes corruption within law enforcement. If you believed his previous remarks were racially insensitive, brace yourself for what he states next. It is likely to test anyone's tolerance.
Now, this isn't a matter of me taking his side of what he looks like. This is not me taking his side because he's black. I'm concerned about what you said. You stopped him because he's black. That was the first thing that you said. Am I wrong in saying that?
He matched the description, sir. He matched the description.
No, you said, look at him, he's black. That seems to be the only reason why you stopped Mr. Redvine. He's sitting on a park bench as a black man, minding his own business. And you said that he matches the description. I don't have a description nowhere in the police documentations here. I don't have a witness here. What I do have is a video of you harassing him, and what I don't have is him attacking you or him making a confession.
Sir, I was trying to keep the streets safe. This man was being suspicious in a park.
Let me ask you a question. You've already lied in this court once.
I have not, sir.
That was not you on the video that we just saw?
That was not me, sir.
Are you sticking by that?
Yes, sir.
That it was not you?
That was not me, sir.
I'm going to make a formal inquiry to Internal Affairs, and I'm going to let them deal with that part. Since you want to lie in my courtroom.
I'm not lying, sir.
And I'm also believing that this young man did not make a confession. Sir, forget it. Did you confess to him about that?
No, sir. I don't even know what I was arrested for.
He thought he was under the impression of in robbery. Was there a rape
He's a
involved
criminal.
also?
Criminals will lie.
Criminals will lie.
Yes.
You arrested him for looking suspicious. You impounded something that was not even evidence of something that was stolen.
And matching the description.
Matching the description is not enough for an arrest. Officer Ortega, you should know better than that. Yes, matching the description gives you the right to talk to somebody and interview them. And that's it. You didn't make a correlation between whether he did it or not. You arrested this man because he looked suspicious. We don't arrest people because they look suspicious. We arrest people because we have evidence to prove that they committed a crime. And you lied and said that you didn't take him to a station to an interview room, which makes me believe that you lied about everything else that happened prior to that.
That's not true, sir. That's not true, sir. That was not me on that video.
I made my decision. Mr. Redvine.
Yes, Your Honor.
This court finds that the damages that you suffered and the pain, the $25,000,
yes, Your Honor.
Officer Ortega will be paying you that out of his paycheck. The city will not be paying for that. He's going to be held responsible for that.
This situation exemplifies instant karma. The officer attempted to arrest an innocent individual, but ultimately found himself liable for $225,000. What are your views on the prevalence of corrupt and racially biased police officers in America, particularly in this case? Please share your opinions in the comments below. Remember to like this video and subscribe to the channel to stay updated on more courtroom dramas. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.
Racist Karens on paternity court.
She don't look nothing like me.
Your Honor, black people can come in any shade or color.
I'm glad you said it, because I say it over and over again in this courtroom. Nobody listens to me, except Jerome.
He feels like that is not his child. She was light-skinned with gray eyes because I'm too dark to have a light-skinned baby.
Mr. Bradley here had spent 19 years pondering the age-old question, who's my daddy? Meanwhile, Mr. Tessner, the antagonist in this drama, was 100% sure he was not the father. Hold on to your popcorn, folks, because this decades-old paternity mystery was bound to be juicy.
I was sitting in the car and my mom and my aunt were arguing, and my aunt looks at my mom and tells her, well, why don't you tell him who his father is? And looked at my mom and I'm like, what's going on? And my aunt says, well, your father's James Chestnut. So then I started pushing my mom into letting me go see him. I met him when I was 13 and didn't get to see him again until I was 18.
Who knew an argument between two sisters would lead to devastating news for the plaintiff? Well, that happened when his aunt and mother were riled up and the secret slipped out. On the other hand, the defendant had no clue, none at all, about this supposed son's existence.
We only dated for about a month. I remember pulling over on the side road one time to make out. I cannot even remember having sex with her, and I never knew that she was pregnant or that a baby was born.
Never?
Never.
You were never contacted?
I was never contacted.
Cue the heartbreak, folks, because Mama Dear put another man's name on the birth certificate, and that irked the son beyond measure. And he let the mother know that she did not know best. Oh dear, emotions were running high.
Ain't no nurse can tell you to put nobody on nobody's birth certificate. It should have been left blank. It should have been left blank.
Nobody's name was put on
Can't nobody make you put no name on a birth
1984.
certificate. No, they shouldn't have been nobody put on that birth certificate until there was a paternity test.
And that makes you angry.
Moving on, the whirlwind of confusion and desperation continues. Mommy let the boyfriend of that time stand up to the role of fatherhood, which he did. But then Mama Karen started noticing the color and features of the baby and said the big old uh-oh.
The court ordered someone on the birth certificate, and at that time I told the courts that I felt like my boyfriend then was his father, because Mr. Bradley was dark-skinned when he was born, and then his facial features started to change, and he looked more and more like Mr. Tessner.
It seemed the baby daddy wasn't a fan of Miss Bradley. He believed the woman was playing with men like a fiddle. And these were some serious accusations, but he stood by them. and she had nothing to say in her defense.
Why is she going after the other man for child support in 1984? And he's a roofer, and roofers only work part of the time. If I'm the dad, why didn't you go after me then? I paid child support on my other kids.
This whole thing has been masterminded.
I think she just changes it to whoever's doing better. That's who she tells him his daddy is. That's what I believe.
Next up, the supposed baby was adamant he wasn't the father they were looking for. And he was tooting the same tune again. The skin color. So much so, he was convinced the other guy was the father. And in doing so, he didn't hesitate to call the mother-son duo a couple of liars. Ouchie, ouch.
He's darker than me, a lot darker. He's got straight hair. Before I went in the military, my hair was long. It was almost like an afro out here like this. His hair's straight as a stick. The other guy is half Cherokee Indian. His mom.
So you feel like this other person?
I believe DNA was done already.
Well, if you thought that was awkward, better prepare yourselves to be awkward some more. Oh yeah, the awkward train left the station when Mr. Tessiner claimed he doesn't remember being intimate with a baby mama. But he does remember someone else. Yikes! Isn't even enough to cover that one.
I had sex with her sister before I did her, and I remember that. I remember that. And if I can remember that, why can't I remember her?
Miss Bradley, do you remember having sex with him?
I remember having sex.
Did you use protection?
She was pregnant.
Told you this was gonna be juicy. Moving on, it seemed the deadbeat dad comment didn't sit too well with the defendant as he jumped to his defense. Mommy, on the other hand, claimed she stopped the child support of the other dude in question. Hard to believe that.
I didn't tell Mr. Tessiner. I didn't bother him. It's because he had gotten some trouble and he left town. I didn't look for him.
That's a lie because the trouble, he was born in 81, right? That trouble didn't happen to April 82.
I was then under the assumption that my boyfriend at the time was my son's father.
Paternity, folks, the moment of truth was upon us. And may I say, about time. As the judge says, DNA never lies, and it was time to uncover the hidden truths and unveil the results that will either bring closure to Mr. Bradley or much more anguish.
Mr. Tessiner, you are his father.
Now we know.
And I know you said you feel like you missed out on a lot.
I know I did.
But at least everything's on the square now.
How do you feel, Mr. Bradley?
I already knew.
Miss Miller was at the mercy of the paternity court because apparently Mr. Brewer doubted the paternity of one of their twins, and that has rocked their relationship. It's a family feud that has led to an emotional relocation, and now they've turned to the court to resolve the DNA drama.
Your Honor, I love this man, Sean, and since I had the babies, our relationship has been on the rock. So I'm just here to prove that the twins are indeed his babies.
It's not the twins that were in question, it's just Zara. It's not Zane and Zara, it's just Zara.
So you have fraternal twins.
Yes.
And you say only one child is in question.
Yes.
The origins of their relationship were as shaky as Daddy's faith in Zara's paternity. A cruise meetup with a dash of the mix-up of phone numbers and sliding into the DMs. And voila, Mr. Brewer slid into the mommy's bed. But then came the condom controversy, and a drunk conversation led him on a different path.
One night we had sex, and then it just continued there. And the second time we had sex, she actually pulled off the condom.
He is
lying. So I'm thinking like, yeah, so I'm like, it was cool then, but then I was like, well, how many other dudes has she did this with?
And that wasn't the second time. It probably was like the fourth or the fifth time.
Now, hold on. Because the baby daddy wasn't done narrating all the shady actions of the baby mama. Yup, there were more, and all this stuff made his doubts simmer. Meanwhile, Miss Miller just called the guy delusional. Not a good defense, I would have to say.
You said she must be sleeping with somebody else.
Yep, and she pops up pregnant. Like a month later or 5 weeks later, I'm pregnant. Came in my mind, and then all of this, her popping off the rubber and all of this stuff, and Jose and the cars.
So, Miss Miller, who is Jose?
I told you, I don't know nobody named Jose.
So according to baby mama, the guy wasn't just delusional, but also insecure, and all because he was older than her. Well, he had a rebuttal for that argument of hers all set and ready to be delivered. So much so, Mr. Brewer did some research of his own on paternity.
When the twins were born, I was there at the hospital, like I've been there during her pregnancy and everything. Zara was born first. She was light bright, damn near white. I'm like, that's not my baby. She look Mexican.
That's being weird.
She don't look nothing like me.
Your Honor,
Mr.
black
Brewer.
people can come in any shade or color.
I'm glad you said it, because I say it over and over again in
Right.
this courtroom. Nobody listens to me.
Moving on, along with the research, Baby Daddy brought an exhibit as well. And this special exhibit highlights the toes of his family. Yeah, you heard that right. Now you gotta see for yourselves too what that drama was about.
This is my crusty foot.
Yeah.
But as you can see, the toe curves like a C, and it lays under. Zane's toe is just exactly like mine. And then Zara's toe, as you can see, goes straight up. That's how I feel, Your Honor.
Zara's feet look exactly like mine, like short and stubby ones. So she looked like me. He looked like him. She looked like me.
By the looks of it, it appears the baby daddy had little to no bonding with the girl twin. Yeah, and according to the baby mama, the kid was picking up on it. Now that's just sad. But he still stood by his doubts.
Oh, well, I know Zane is mine, but I would definitely feel great, more elated if I knew the whole package was mine, both of the twins. And I'll be prepared to do what it takes to be a father to both of them.
And then what if one or both are not?
If they're not mine, I'll just be heartbroken, devastated. Look how pretty those babies are.
Well, Miss Miller finally had enough of the baby daddy's antics and left the house. And she had been raising them all on her own. But that move just made the doubts stronger. However, she was positive the results will shut him up.
I fly out there too. I flew out there twice already for the birthday in March.
He flew out for the birthday just to come to the party, and then he left. He didn't help with nothing.
I didn't ask her to leave. She left on her own.
I wasn't getting no help, so I left.
I think the reason why you left is because that baby's not mine.
Well, we gonna find out today.
The moment of truth has arrived, and the DNA results were in. This roller coaster ride of emotions had come to an end, and Mr. Brewer's doubts hung in the balance. Let's see what fate has in store for this family.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Brewer, you are the father.
I told you.
Well, I did have my doubts, Judge Lake.
So why do I see tears in your eyes?
Cause it's just emotion.
Miss Sales brought the defendant to court to finally prove to him he fathered her baby. On the other hand, Mr. Jackson believed the baby mama only to be a side chick looking to pin a baby on him. It's a roller coaster of love, betrayal, and a dash of baby drama. The suspense was building, folks.
We were in a relationship, we had our baby, and now because he sits up and talks to his family, now he feels like that is not his child. Since the day my daughter was born, because she was light-skinned with gray eyes, that was not his child because I'm too dark to have a light-skinned baby.
She claims they were the real deal. He calls her a former side chick. That's something. The plaintiff didn't buy that. No surprise there. Miss Sales and Mr. Jackson's dynamic was about as straightforward as a maze. But hold on tight, because this story is just getting started.
You left your ex to come be with me. How was we not in a relationship?
It was more of, she had great sex.
Oh, I put it on him and he could never leave.
Yeah, and it happens like that, It was just...
So you're saying you were only with her for a sexual relationship?
She was my side woman.
Baby mama was all the more eager to take us along for her pregnancy ride. Since the daddy tootin' another toot, their chances of conception were quite slim. But she was persistent. He was her guy. From August to October, Baby Mama gave a play-by-play of their activities. A spicy mix of hotel rendezvous and some questionable timelines. Here we go.
After they, got me together and got my body together, yeah, believe me, it wasn't that.
Negative,
yeah.
Oh, you say that's not true. Okay, I'm gonna come to you in a minute. What happened next, Miss Sales?
So after that, I ended up going home. I, again, knew I was not pregnant. In October, I went to the doctor, and that's when I found out that I was 6 weeks pregnant.
Well, the quality kept the defendant around for 5 years, and that led to an increase in the quantity of unprotected escapades.
I saw Ashley with this guy. Ashley was riding around with him.
Your Honor,
Ashley be outside just so he can sit
Your
there and
Honor,
say,
I also
okay.
seen messages of her going back and forth with the guy, but
What did the messages say?
it was more like, I guess, he already had a baby or something like that. I guess she was trying to come clean about she supposed to be pregnant. It could be a possibility, mine's or his.
It was clear Baby Daddy was grasping for straws here, and following that that plan of action, he came up with a conception calendar of his own. Now, he tried to explain its dynamics, but even Judge Lake had a hard time with this exhibition.
Finally find out Miss Sales is pregnant.
It's around like September.
There it is, September.
Yes, ma'am.
The last week.
Yes, ma'am.
Outlined in hot pink. Micaiah was born in May. So is it your testimony that you didn't have sex from June when you broke up with Miss Sales all the way in July,
Yes.
nor in August,
Yes, Your Honor.
nor in September?
Well, that was a total bust. But no worries, cause baby daddy had a witness. His sister was in support of him, and she had some things to share. And pretty soon, the baby mama interjected and was running the show, it seemed.
I just told him to take a DNA test, which he said he tried to take one.
How do you fake a fallout?
She started crying outside the
broke
building
down
because she
crying.
didn't want to take
Was
the
you
DNA
standing
test.
there? Were you
No, he told me.
I don't never cry for one. I'm not an emotional person at all.
So these guys did go for the test once, but came back empty-handed. It seemed Mr. Jackson was a sensitive fella, but the sarcastic DNA queen showed him what really went down that day.
You're such a nice, sweet, humble young man.
Yes, Your Honor.
You just decided I don't want to hurt this young woman's feelings, and I'd rather just not take the DNA test and go back home to Miss Sales to only have sex with her and continue to devalue her
No, Your
for
Honor, it
another
was-
2 years.
The truth is a double-edged sword, and it was about to cut through the drama like a knife through butter. This was one twisted case where a baby was judged for pretty much everything that's possible. Let's see who gets validated through these results.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Jackson, you are the father.
Now I know who my baby daddy is.
Miss Sales, you don't have to do that. I don't run no circus, and I don't need no clowns.
I understand.
We're talking about a baby. She should know who you are. She needs the daddy that is going to be protecting her.
Now, this courtroom showdown featured a grandmother determined to prove that her late son wasn't the father of baby Thomas. Miss Reinhardt accuses Miss Crow of using her son for a financial joyride, and now she's here to put the brakes on that claim.
It is more than just the money. I would like help with my son, yes, of course, but my son cannot grow up and meet his father. So he deserves that right to know who his father is and to know who his family is.
Now picture this, a chance meeting at a skate park, sparks flying, and love blossoming faster than you can say love at first sight. Boy, was that quick! And the two characters in their story soon became three. Sounds too good to be true, right?
My son and I had a very tight relationship, and Jay would tell me everything when nobody else was around. I knew my son inside and out. As a mother, as a grandmother, having 4 babies of my own, my gut tells me this is not my grandson. I do not see my son in that.
Now, folks, we enter the treacherous territory of doubts and reservations surrounding the pregnancy. It seemed the baby daddy had some serious issues, and because of those issues, the grandma believed mommy was taking advantage of him. Furthermore, she brought in picture evidence to back up her claim that the baby does not favor her. Oh, Karen!
I've got a baby picture, and if I take that baby picture, I could put it up against my daughter. I could even put it up against my 18-year-old granddaughter. I could put it up against Jay's brother. I could put it up against Jay's baby picture, and we all look like quadruplets.
By the looks of it, Miss Reinhardt came to win, so she wasn't backing down. Moreover, she presented another family history that this baby in question lacked as well. Evidence coming up left and right. Hard to keep up with all these, right?
At the time we were living together, it was March 2015. I have decided to no longer go any further in the relationship because I have 2 other kids. He comes home one night and he's drunk. He left the door wide open. We don't live in the best neighborhood.
So apparently, these guys went separate ways after a while. Now, according to the baby mama, she had no way to contact Mr. Turner. Time passed, and one day she came across the devastating news of his passing on Facebook. However, Grandma did not agree with that version.
I see a mutual friend of ours post, "Rest in peace, Jay," with his picture. And I contacted this person like, what's going on? And they tell me, so I want to make sure it's true. I call the coroner's office. Is it true? You have J.C. Turner. Yes, it is true. Do you know where any of his family's at? Because he don't have family out here like that.
I told her he passed away.
The weight of despair and anguish. The courtroom was brimming with it. The plaintiff had all the answers except for the most crucial one. Why go for the DNA test now? Furthermore, Ms. Crow didn't even attend a memorial of her supposed baby daddy. Ooh, that does not look good.
You not attend somebody's memorial when they're given a memorial of their death because your daughter has school the next day and you can't get a babysitter?
No,
You
that was
can't
what
try-
you guys did.
No,
I went to
I've
the
got
skate
proof.
park where I
I've
met
got
him.
proof. I've got-
You can have all the proof you want to make yourself
were
feel
not
better
there.
because I know what I
You
did.
were not there.
Okay.
The emotions were running high and were all over the courtroom. The baby mama and grandma were at severe odds with each other. It was time to see whether those could be mended by the results or not. Here goes nothing.
The percentage of relatedness is 99.6% you are related. That is your grandchild.